time to break out the fancy cookware. This one's gonna get hot. Insane.
Dallas Fuel start off the season the right way. Good peel back from the Florida Mayhem, though.
That going wild at the end of this round.
Good pair. Well played.
Oh, that was such a nice play.
Oh, it's a carnage.
Hello and welcome back. Aaron here. So coming up next, we have the Florida Mayhem versus the Dallas Fuel. Both kind of having a rough week, and they're looking to bounce back and possibly get a win. This is the last match of the night, guys, and of the week. Are you excited? Yes! Let me hear you get hype! Right on! You guys are ready. I think they're ready. I'm gonna throw it over to you, Golden Boy.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for that. And yes, our last match of the day, it will be Florida going up against Dallas. Excited for this one. Golden Boy alongside with Reinforced Crumbs and Zoe joining us once again. Pumped for this matchup because both teams, they desperately need a win. So we're going to see some, in my opinion, some top-level Overwatch. Because when you're in this position, you bust it all out there. You just throw it out and throw it against the wall. I don't know. It was like painting.
See if something sticks.
Painting reference.
You can smell the desperation for a win in the air.
Yes, exactly. The desperation for a win. And that makes for some fantastic Overwatch. But let's go ahead and welcome out your first team of this matchup. Put your hands together for the Florida Mayhem. Now, Florida got reverse swept by the Houston Outlaws last night after leading 2-0.5. We started to see some crazy plays from them. I feel like there is something in this team, guys.
It was rough, but that's what we've seen from Florida this entire time. Yeah, they're 1-14, but the games are almost all of them, just as close to what we saw last time. And it was Logix and Tivic, the DPS from this team, just having a stupendous performance, but it just was not enough to go three map one rather.
Yeah, and as of yesterday, Sapis is available for them as well. He has been cheering his team on from the sidelines, wearing a very suspicious trench coat, but he was there and gave them some moral support. I talked to their coaches after the game yesterday, asking if we will maybe see Sapis already today. The answer is no. Absolutely not, because the team has not been playing with him at all prior to him arriving here. So they want to first scrim a little bit and see how he fits.
Yeah, but even then, it's like Sapis has played everything
in the history of Overwatch.
He has done everything except being a main tank. So, Swoosh is safe, but, everyone else is in danger of getting subbed out for Sapis. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fit in Sapis to this team. And then also you have Logix and Swoosh, of course, playing for their spots as Awesome Guy. And Saya Player is going to join them pretty soon as well.
What a name.
Yeah, I know.
Awesome Guy.
Awesome Guy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any better than Awesome Guy. But they're going to be, then we need to worry about the now. And who's coming out right now? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the Dallas Fuel. Dallas Fuel have dropped 3 straight after starting 2-0 in stage 2. It's been a little rough for them.
It's been rough indeed, Golden Boy. And I feel like this team is just in their own heads, because what strikes to me being the main issue is that the expectations that these players have set for themselves based on their previous accomplishment are just through the roof, except right now times have changed. Things are different. The competition is tougher, and it's been rough on them, seeing them not perform to the level that they expected. And they've just been trying, but they just keep getting played by road bump after road bump, and here they are just trying to make it work.
And another road bump this week. It seems like Taimo is now going to be the main tank moving forward in the starting lineup today. And well, he's looked pretty good on the main tank role in the past. But you have to say that main tank is such a role, it's easy to learn, but it's hard to master. And we always talk about how good of a main tank you need in competitive Overwatch. So the question is Taimu's main tank going to be enough today?
Well, we definitely know that his hands will be warm for this game. And on top of that, talking of main tanks, they have announced a new addition to the roster as well on Thursday this week. OGE will be joining them. That's a main tank who has previously played for Conbox. So a very, very, talented player who will be joining their ranks for stage 3. But for now, this is what we have.
You need a fresh breath of air after the rough start to the Overwatch League, of course. So some new blood coming in for the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, but we know that the talent is here. I mean,
Some
former
nice
Team
blood.
Envious squad, now Dallas Fuel. We keep harping on it because we know that the skill is present with this squad. And this matchup, like I had mentioned before, it's going to be a game of 2 teams who desperately need a victory. Both need the win. neither can afford the loss, honestly.
And they're looking pretty equal as well. I mean, you look at these teams. Florida turned up yesterday versus Houston. We did not expect that. Dallas in a bit of a slump. You know, this could go either way.
They look similar, but I think they dropped the ball when it comes to composure and keeping themselves playing well throughout an entire game, which combos very well into your point earlier, Golden Boy, that defense really does win a lot of games. And so I feel like the team that today figures out, you know what, let's just rein it back, just focus on stopping the opponent team's play instead of making our own work first, might get the edge.
Yeah, very true. But now, Reinforce, question for you, my friend, because this is a very interesting matchup. There are two players on this stage that have quite the rivalry in the history.
There is
of
a
Overwatch.
long history between these guys. We have Tvic versus AKM on the stage. Two former teammates of mine. Of course, we were playing for Rogue, and we won a few tournaments. We were at one point the best team in the world, I would like to say. And so, of course, now we separated. AKM, of course, joined a French team, and Tvic went to a Swedish team. Of course, we went separate ways, and we sort of became rivals, you know, challenged each other. And then you had Rogue, who just became one of the best teams in the world. The whole French Rogue, of course, won tournament after tournament. Tvic and me on Misfits, we disappointed, didn't live up to expectations at all. And now you have these guys played in the World Cup, of course, the 2017 World Cup, where actually Sweden won and surprised as an underdog and beat AKM's French lineup. And today, you have them on stage once again as rivals. And to me, this means a lot more. It's not just about a win in the lower part of the ladder, of course. It's about the story and bragging rights and so much more.
And keep in mind, Rascal is starting, but we might see AKM today. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see AKM today.
Is that a kind of rivalry that is a friendly rivalry, or is that a more heated rivalry?
I would say it leaned against the more heated rivalry, I would say, actually. We were not so much friends at the time when we separated, went different ways, of course, at the time, because we were a top team, but we just couldn't team up with each other. So it's a bit heated, and I would expect both Tvic and AKM, if AKM gets on stage, to actually give it all, because this means a lot more to them.
It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Now, Zoe, I want to bring you in here, get your thoughts on Dallas Fuel as a whole. Like, how do you feel about this team and some of the information that you've gathered over the course of your time in the league?
Well, see, the thing is, I think it's been mentioned here on the desk time and time again. In Stage 2, they have looked shaky. They had a really bumpy road, and I just personally feel like we haven't seen that team in its full strength. There is always something. There is always a player suspended, or someone is ill, or someone else has to go somewhere for an emergency. So I honestly feel like so far from them, we haven't even been able to see a subbing strat by any means, because they just never really had all the pieces available to actually build a puzzle. The corners were always missing, and that's really infuriating.
Well, that's exactly what I think is causing the issue, though, that they're trying to go for this grandiose full strength thing when they just need to go on one little thing to just keep building up. You know, your foundation doesn't just come out of nowhere. It comes brick by brick till you get there.
I love that we went from puzzle to brick.
Puzzle to brick.
Like,
I mean,
what
you
is
talked
happening?
about corners.
We're just going to play Jenga. That's it. We're just playing Jenga.
Sideshow took 9 pieces out at once.
I know, that is actually, it's a video, and no one's ever seen it, so no one will ever know whether it's true or not.
It happened.
It does.
We kind of remember.
That's right. Well, the players are ready to go, and we're going to discuss some Jenga strats in the meantime, but I'm very excited for this game. It's our last match of the day. It's my last time here at the Blizzard Arena for Stage 2, so give me some love. Just give this game some love. Let's have some fun. Let's send it over to my boys Uber and Mr. X.
Damn, you know, life comes at you fast when Golden Boy's got to ask for his own applause, man, isn't it?
Golden Boy is a WWE fan. He knows about it. He's like, I can get the crowd to do whatever. He's just he's a master.
To be honest, credit to our crowd. The Cyan game is way up this week. Today's been fantastic, of course. Farah in the background, and you guys have been making some noise, which is fantastic. And hopefully that continues into this last match. Dallas Fuel taking on the Florida Mayhem. Man, there's no other way to put this. Florida are looking for wins desperately.
And they were so close yesterday. I was watching that match against the Outlaws, and like they started 2-0, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a huge win for Florida. Maybe, you know, they get Zappis, they have the new coach in, they have the 2 other players coming in later. I'm like, maybe this is the win they need to turn it around. And then they lost. And then it's like, oh man, like it just crumbled in just like 20 minutes. It felt like I had to feel even faster for the guys on stage, but they did look better yesterday. And I think coming into this match, I think Dallas had to have watched yesterday, how good they played against Houston. definitely can't take Florida light in this match.
No doubt about it. I think I talked to the Florida boys today and I said, how are you feeling? And Tavik looked at me and said, look, as always, like we feel good. Like we're a jovial bunch. Yeah, it's been tough. Yes, we're looking for that, that win here in stage 2, but we feel good. There are changes happening. It turns out as well, we talked about, the changes in their team, of course, with now Ryder is here, Zappis, I talked to him this morning. He says, so he's correct, by the way, he's not going to be integrated. Maybe
right
not
away.
even, maybe not even in the next week or so. Well, we'll see, but he's happy right now just assisting with the coaching side of things, which is great. Another pair of eyes, a very experienced pair of eyes on the game. Can't hurt for the Mayhem.
And something that I think Florida deserves a lot of credit for is that even how bad their season's been thus far, and how sometimes these games are so close that they lose. The guys are always in good spirits. Every time we see them, always smiles on their faces. Just they have such a positive mindset that's what's kind of allowed them to weather through this and still put up good fights against some of these teams.
I mean, you can say the same of their foes as well. The Dallas Fuel
Yeah.
have obviously faced a lot of scrutiny for their difficult journey through so far. It's not been the best season for them, but their changes are also on the way, and it all starts here, Matt. Hanamura, Dallas Fuel on the defense, and on the offense, it's going to be Florida Mayhem in the yellow and the white.
So it'll be just a dive composition on defense here for the Dallas Fuel, minus Harry Hook playing Ana instead of potentially a Lucio here. And then on offense for the Florida Mayhem, you'll have Zupe play Moira. So Moira can be pretty effective here on Hanamura at the beginning, coming through this choke.
Zupe there, Bionic Grasp, just to make sure his healing's going to be kept topped up. And it's a good start. Vic's found Taimu already, so the dive core being removed bit by bit here by the Dallas Fuel. You can see the Rascals trying to get away from this Bionic Grasp, but Zupe just keep pursuing.
Well, it seemed like they were a little bit, not in sync there. Dallas, as that Taimu was around the doorway, he went to go follow the Mayhem. Everybody else just booked it towards the other side. So he's alone there. He gets taken out.
Oh,
here just farming his blade. Swoosh will take out Rascal, so you've lost 2 players already here for Dallas.
I mean, it's so tough for a Genji. Well, speaking of which, perhaps not for this Genji. Vic's having a complete ride of it so far. But if you're Rascal trying to attack the point against Bionic Grasp, and of course Winston's Tesla Cannon, it's so hard to avoid this damage. You can't block either of those damage sources, Matt. Frustrating to say the least for Dallas Fuel. They get stopped on point A.
Yeah, that's just absolute destruction there from the Florida Mayhem. Harry Hook actually used his nano boost during that fight as well. Gave it over to Taimu there towards the end. Try and stall it out a little bit longer, but Florida has the opportunity here, Mitch, to go pretty quick. They know that effect's behind them. And maybe they can take advantage of this Coalescence and Blade.
Big Dragon Blade, he's thinking about it. He's looking for chips here. One more slash to get the job done. He's put to sleep a little bit too late, but at least the 1-for-1 has been secured by Harry Hook. The problem is the rest of the fight on the point's not going so rosily for the Fuel. Mickey dealt with Swoosh. Effect is a presence on the point, getting Zupe low. Zebo's down. He can actually find the Moira now if he knows where he is. Effect needs to drop in. Bionic Grasp cutting him quite low in HP, but he gets a health pack, importantly enough. Rascal now coming out, trying to use the Doomfist to stall. They've actually staved off the Mayhem. They didn't even get a tick, Matt. That's a good result for Dallas.
Yeah, that's about as good as it possibly could have gone there for the Dallas Fuel. It's a big sleep dart there from Harry Hook, because if he doesn't hit that, Tavik has that dash reset. He goes down the staircase. He probably kills Harry
Even
as well.
if Harry boops him, he was playing the Ana, so he couldn't have done that either way.
And also on the point, Harry actually went back down to hit a big biotic grenade, which prevented any healing going on to Manitin, so it kind of forced him back a little bit. So Harry Hook with the big plays there to keep Dallas Fuel potentially in this one, right? I mean, Florida could have taken point B rather quickly there. It'll be Swoosh jumping on the point here, does have primal range.
Yeah, the rest of the Florida Mayhem are on the high ground, maybe hoping to force Dallas down to the point and give themselves that pole position. Harry Hook has a nano boost here. So far, he's just trying to keep Mickey healed up, and Chips is forced to use a Transcendence here to avoid getting blown up by the Pulse Bomb delivered by Logix. Primal Rage for Swoosh earlier on, just using Rascal lead to Helix Rocket. He's had a very tough round so far, Matt. Hard for him to stay alive in these fights. Great sleep dart, though. Manitin going to have a lot of trouble trying to chase down Chips. He's able to get back and spawn, heal up a little bit while Effects finds Zebo.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of appeal for those supports. They're still able to stay alive on through this. It'll be Effect getting the effects of that nano boost. Still just be Manitin and Logix alive here for the Mayhem. They do have one tick, though, here, Mitch. And Tavik is up on that high ground, uncontested right now, putting down tons of shots. It looks like Rascal's going to go up and try and deal with it.
He's got to go now with a tactical bite, and the timing is good. Rascal is forced to give some ground and back away, but there's not that many other great targets for Tavik to go for. Taimu very cleverly, keeping himself behind the lantern on the point, stays alive, gets the decent on Manitin, and Tavik can't do much with that ultimate either. Dallas Fuel are doing quite a lot with very little right now.
Yeah, very good positioning there from Taimu. Potentially, he could have gotten caught out by that tack visor, as Tavik will take him out with that Helix Rocket, but stays alive through that Soldier 76 ult. Still have Chips playing May, probably will go back to the spawn switch on out back to Zenyatta. Just went for that for a little bit of stall. So you do have Rascal with this Genji Blade. You also have a nano boost here for the Dallas Fuel. They'll probably either go to Rascal or Taimu.
Rascal and Taimu really trying to make sure they're in sync to give Rascal the greatest chance of success to set him up. Dragon Blade in with an nano boost here. It's going to force the Transcendence out. Rascal can still get killed through this. As you can see, Zebasai burst down. Despite the presence, of course, of that trans from Zupe, it wasn't quite enough. Taimu now trying to compound things with Primal Rage. Divi's timing getting out was very good. He almost dropped there, but is saved by his healers on the low ground.
Just able to stay alive. They do use 3 ultimates, though, in this fight, which will give the Florida Mayhem a little bit of an advantage in the next one. They'll have a nano boost plus visor combination they'll be able to use if they can get Tavik some free space up on that high ground. How they can do that, whether it be a self-destruct to zone some players out, or potentially Swoosh using that Primal Rage on the point like they did last time.
Great to see Rascal commit to that previous fight despite the trans being there. Sometimes it can feel like you're sort of just trading a blade for a trans and getting no kills, but because you have the nano boost, he knew he could at least get a 1 kill. Definitely a big part of what stopped the Mayhem. Effect, he's a little bit scared right now. He's gonna have to use his recall in just a second if he's not careful. There it is, but the rest of the Fuel are doing good work. Both supports are already down for the Mayhem.
Yeah, the push just comes on through that front side for the Dallas Fuel, so Effect doesn't really have to do much there on the flank, as Rascal already basically up to another blade. They're going to have another nano boost here as he's built this ult rather quickly. Looking at some of the stats, a Dragon Blade every minute, 20 seconds or so. So, doing a nice job. It's going to be Zupe, though, who takes Rascal out before they can even get anything going. So maybe Florida can take advantage of this.
That early pick, it's what happened to Dallas Care of the San Francisco Shock earlier this week as well. It was a problem for them. Tavik wants to go in here. He gets the nano boost, but there's a Winston in his way. But he bursts Taimu down quickly. Gets stuck, though. Ooh, he actually went for the tech fight, but he lost it. He didn't even get to use his ultimate, but because he'd activated it, then died straight after, it's gone.
Oh, this is not going well for the Mayhem. Tavik ends up using that visor towards the end, just gets burst down instantly, not able to use it. Rascal does use his blade there to clean up a few kills, but all those ultimates that Florida had, they're gone now. I mean, Zebasai obviously going to switch off of Ana, will go over to Lucio, and then you have Zupe using the Transcendence on the low ground that time. Swoosh with the Primal Rage, you used everything you had there.
It could be that the Mayhem are feeling a little bit disjointed and sort of split up, perhaps use the speed boost to make sure they all get to their intended target in the right time, perhaps X marks the spot kind of thing. Mickey's going in though, so is Taimu, so both of the tanks for the Dallas Fuel want to start up a bit of a rumble, and Effect's already found Zupe. Tavik did well to disengage and connect with Rascal with another Helix Rocket. Rascal himself having some trouble here, really getting into the backlines unscathed. The Genji pick might not even be the optimal one here, Matt.
Taimu's going to get out of it again. He's done a nice job with these Primal Rages, Mitch. Getting in, doing some damage, making sure he stays topped up, getting back to Harry Hook, staying alive, then going off and finishing some more kills. Right now, Dallas Fuel on defense looking good. I mean, the Florida Mayhem had 5 minutes plus to attack this, and it's not looking good for them to take point B.
In all fairness, we've often criticized Logix for his inability to take on other top tracers, but he's been performing fairly well. 13 eliminations, 5 final blows, 2 deaths. Solid from him. Might need just a little bit more to get them over the line here. There's the Florida Mayhem, of course. Effect has the pulse bomb, but he wants a bit of a high priority target to use it on. The Dallas Fuel once again seem very confident in defense. Chips gets himself a nano, bit of a Jonak throwback to yesterday. But the damage reduction also can't hurt on your squishy's target.
Yeah, we don't know if it's intentional or not, but up in that hallway.
If it's New York, it definitely
is. It's so difficult in that hallway. It just kind of connects with the wrong player. But the Mayhem, only 20 seconds left here. They'll probably have Primal Rage to use. Zebo may get close to a sound barrier, and then Tavik with a tactical visor, but it's going to be Chips with that Transcendence, and then Rascal with another Dragon Blade. That could secure this round.
It's got to be now, Matt. No other time than this. Pushing on towards the point, the Florida Mayhem have to go for gold. You see Taimu going very, very low early on. Harry Hook throws in the Bind to keep him nice and healthy, and there's the Transcendence from Chips high end over the mix. Rascal, hoping to get a bit of healing himself. Does jump into the trans now, and he is thinking about the Dragon Blade. He's going to wait for Zupe's Transcendence to expire before going in, but he needs to make a big play now because he's missing a heck of a lot of teammates. Already 2 ticks involved. Sound barrier now for the Florida Mayhem. Rascal going for the Dragon Blade. Who's he looking for? He wants to speak, but he can't catch him. He's got no dash resets left. He just gets him, but Swoosh chases him down. It's nothing but a 1-for-1 trade. Definitely a lot less than he would have hoped for in that situation. Swoosh and Manhattan together on the point. Pulse bomb dropped in. No effect from that one. Speaking of the man, he's got Manhattan desuited and removed him immediately as he popped out. The Dallas Fuel are looking pretty confident on the point there, but Swoosh gets a tickle on a Mickey. He's found Taimu as well. 2 kills, though, is not going to be enough for Swoosh and the Mayhem. And the Dallas Fuel complete the hold on the second point of Hanamura.
Defense was very effective there for the Dallas Fuel, but the Florida Mayhem did a great job of taking point A. Let's listen in to see how they did it.
He's low. Diva coming in, Diva shot, Diva. No, get to Diva, clear point. Okay, 10 seconds. Get low. There's a rig. Diva low. There's a rig. Roof.
Tracer no recall.
Play point.
Mock is gonna be back soon.
It's fine.
Then go on, Anna.
I'm with you.
I'm just kiting. Get the mock point.
There's a rig. I'm going a mock now.
Mock is stuck.
Nice. Diva, baby.
Maybe dead. Tracer's still behind us, platform.
Yeah.
Something interesting about that as well, Matt, is just the emphasis that's been put on tracking Tracer's recall, knowing if it's worth using cooldowns on effect to pick him off. Now, good start for Florida, Matt, but they really stalled out come point B.
Yeah, it just seems like they couldn't ever get real good control of that high ground, right? When you play that 76, you're trying to push through the high ground, get them set up on that bridge, and make it very painful for the defense. With just players on the point and then 76 on the high ground, because they have to contest the point, obviously. Don't want to let that objective go to the other team. Also can't let the 76 just rain down havoc.
And there was that one point where Tvik was looking like he was in a very good position to get a free tack visor from that high ground spot. But then he got pushed by Rascal, who did, to be honest, forced Tvik to use a tack visor. Rascal just dropped down and got a mega health pack, and Taimu contested the point by just hiding behind one of the lanterns away from that tack visor and also desuiting Manitin in the process. So very clever by Taimu.
And maybe you see them play Rascal with Taimu as that main tank because they want to Taimu probably just wants to play aggressive as the tank.
I don't think Rascal has any objections to that either.
Rascal probably would want to play aggressive as well with his Genji play. We'll see if the Fuel roll with this on offense. As, okay, it looked like Effect maybe hovering over that Zarya, but there'll be Effect on Tracer, Rascal on the Widowmaker at the beginning. And you see Rascal's connected with some shots on a Manitin, already at 30% towards that ult. He's going to switch right off of it, though, go to Genji.
Okay, just in case, perhaps, Matt, the Florida Mayhem had like a full 6-man deep setup, just try and get some early ult advantage. Wasn't the case, so Rascal back to the Genji. Let's see if he can, achieve more in this round. He had a little bit more difficult previous round until the end. He really started to fire up and clean up a few of those kills. What's he looking for here, Matt?
Trying to poke, get some damage, some charge towards his ult, but Florida backs all the way out. They've given up so much space here. It's going to be one tick already for the Dallas Fuel on the point. They body block Swoosh here, so he can't get back. As I think Florida may have given up too much space here, Mitch. They just backed out all the way through the choke. Everybody, they haven't been able to even get back and contest the point. A few players going to get staggered here as the point will go over to Dallas.
Look, you can see the first 2 kills came from Chips High and sat in the back line. Kept so safe and given a lot of room to work. Let's have a look at this on replay. Look at where his tanks are standing, by the way. There's at no stage is Chips feeling threatened here. Logix isn't even trying to find him. If you leave a Zen like this unattended, he's going to wreck you.
I mean, Florida just never had an opportunity to really get back to the point, right? I mean, Swoosh is just kind of like walking in, gets body blocked. Not really a great play there. So the Effect dropping a pulse bomb. Doesn't connect with anything. 2 of his teammates do fall up on the high ground, so he's probably going to have to back out.
Interestingly enough here, despite Dallas taking that first point very quickly, they don't have a distinct ult advantage. Now, normally you kind of would. If you win that first fight with a considerable, lead in damage done, you probably would have your support ults online a little bit earlier on. The Mayhem, though, have been able to circumvent this and actually have that trans available at the same time as Chips is. So the Dallas Fuel couldn't really rush them into a quick second point cap.
And now Tvik was playing 76 all the way in the back, and then now he's opted to go over to Genji. So they're going to try their own form of the dive here on defense. It'll be a nano boost used on the Swoosh as he's just trying to cause some damage out here, split some players off, prevent Dallas to get to the high ground. But Dallas doesn't have that 76, so just trying to get the high ground and get some kind of vision and then make a coordinated dive.
They definitely want to commit, all in with this team composition and not, instead of leaving a 76 back waiting in the wings. But Tupet's found effect. So they're lacking that Tracer now. Rascal's not in any position to follow a Winston up, but Taimu's dead anyway. So that will end the push for the Dallas Fuel. Support ultimates maintained at the very least.
Well, here's where you miss AKM, right? I mean, in this type of position, if you can't get the dive coordinated, you would want to have AKM be that 76 that gets set up on the high ground. I mean, you could have Effect play 76 or McCree, maybe even Widowmaker here and keep Rascal on the Genji. I mean, if he wanted to switch off of this, but we'll see how often the Dallas Fuel keep going with this dive. It looks like this is going to be their most aggressive push yet.
Yeah, less than subtle the approach has been for the Dallas Fuel, but sometimes subtlety is not the order of the day. They just need to get themselves on the point with this dive-focused composition and benefit as much as possible from the Transcendence on as many teammates as they can. Rascal gets a sound barrier, that's enough for him to chase down Zuber. Oh, an attempted a bionade from his other side. Doesn't pay off because Effect was there. They double-teamed the Ana out of the picture, and now Effect just surveys the situation. Where do I need to be, he asks himself. There's a defense matrix back over his shoulder. Great response from Maniton to protect his team from Effect, running on the point, and then he gets the kill as well. A lot of value to be gained there for the D.Va player on the Florida Mayhem. And now Timer and Chips, though, can set up. Spic has to push in. Timer's kind of alone on that high ground, and the rest of his team are being corralled into the low area, and they're gonna have to back away. Florida Mayhem, doggedly pursuing.
And Mickey there ends up using his self-destruct. He actually thinks it's going to like clip the point, but actually goes down to the lower part.
You hate to see it.
And then he gets back in his mech, and at that time, you know, just kind of giving up more ult charge to the Florida Mayhem, knowing you don't really have an opportunity to do much of anything. As Rascal will make a change. This Effect almost gets caught sleeping here. He'll recall back into the same position, but the Rascal play the 76 now. So this is what you wanted to see.
This guy, he just wants to fight all the time. He shouldn't have taken Logic's on like that. He'd already used up his recall. But you can definitely see that Effect believed they could easily 1v1 out, and it was his downfall.
Yeah, especially when he gets so weak right away. And then he uses his recall right away to go back and challenge without recall at all.
It's ballsy.
Yeah, oh, very. Especially going up against a tracer like Logix, who, you know, we know what this guy's capable of.
Seen him many times before. We've also seen this one, Matt. There's a Transcendence there. Tvik, again, knows he can still get kills despite that. He doesn't overcommit, though. We found Mickey after he gets desuited there. Can he find Chips? Oh, it was a Helix rocket deflected from Rascal back into Chips. Rascal gets his revenge, at least, but the egg's on his face. And the Chips are on the floor. 10-second rule as he gets rezzed back up.
Yeah, it's how Harry Hook will be playing Mercy here. So going to give that damage boost to Rascal as they try and work their way in. The only downside is you won't have that Lucio to speed boost to this position. Without that speed boost, the Mayhem could potentially, you know, kind of catch them off guard, beat them to the punch with that high ground advantage.
Biotic grenade hurts, especially Rascal having thrown down his biotic field, benefiting from any of that healing. Logix is, I guess, dimly keeping tabs at the moment on Effect, but that's Rascal going to come in now. Tactical Visor, Transcendence on the point, so he's not going to get much for this. Pulse Bomb dropped on Maniton, so that's going to be a D-suit at the very least. Pulse Bomb dropped in behind Rascal now. He avoids that one. Effect already found that D-suit earlier on, and he's carried it through with Swoosh, causing problems on the high ground map.
Yeah, Swoosh uses that Primal Rage to get up to that high ground. Very nice play. He's able to just force Rascal out of position, force him back to the middle of the map as... See, it looks like, you know, Mickey will get D-mech there. He'll use his self-destruct, potentially try and get a new mech back, but maybe save that self-destruct as now Mickey out of the mech. But now we'll get back in it. So you could have used a self-destruct on the point a little bit later.
Yeah, I think he just didn't want to get... Dallas were already fairly staggered in that fight. I think the time between the first and last kill from them was like 5-6 seconds. Because there's a lot of fighting.
Didn't want to wait even longer.
Yeah, so I mean, just get the mech back and just try not to lose any more time because they're under 2 minutes now, which is not the worst thing in the world. Bear in mind, they still need 71% on this one, and that's big. It's a 2-for-1 deal. Better than a Happy Meal, and he's got 4 kills on the Dragon Blade. The Nano Boost definitely pays off. You love to see it. Serving them burgers up. It's the Florida Mayhem.
Man, that Nano Blade is one of the more fun things to see. Every time they Nano Boost to Winston, I'm like, all right, whatever. But like every time you see, remember like when they would just Nano Boost Reaper, and the Nano Boost had like a little bit of a speed to it. The Reaper's just a little bit of a speed. I think it was
coming at you like a bullet train.
It was like 30%. It's like, yeah, just a little bit extra speed. Why not?
There's a reason why they called it the Beyblade meta.
Yeah, bring it back.
Bring it back. Copyright, Matt, 2018. Quote him on that one. Good stick though. That's gonna hurt. Rascal was the one that fell foul of that one. The rest of the Dallas come out unscathed, especially because of the Transcendence being employed to keep them alive. Another Tactical Visor in for the high ground. Spic can't really do much to block it. He actually fell out of position. 2 kills so far for Rascal with the Tactical Visor. There may be more. It's Swoosh versus the world right now on that point. He's a big angry monkey, but he lacks friends right now. That's all he ever wanted. Logic's forced to recall. He knows he needs to get back to the point, but the Florida Mayhem, they're so staggered right now. They may have just thrown the map away, Matt. It's going to be tough to deal with Rascal on the high ground. I'd say very, very tough to try and close the gap. And no, Mickey gets Maniton with that self-destruct, and that'll be it. The Dallas Fuel slugged their way through. It was a very back-and-forth map.
Effect has a very good game. 30 elims, 17 final blows. and they just looked much more coordinated there towards the end of the Dallas Fuel. They take advantage of the minor mistakes from the Mayhem. I feel like that's all it is every time for the Mayhem. They play teams so close, and then just those little mistakes that they make towards the end end up costing them.
I can see what teams at this level do, Matt, with the smallest of openings. You know, we've seen it very much from teams like your Londons and your New Yorks, but here again, Dallas know how to punish in just the same way. First map to the Dallas Fuel so far. Florida Mayhem looking like this has got plenty of fight in them, though.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Suppe from Florida Mayhem, flex support. I was born and raised in Finland.
Suppe cleans up Suppe 3K.
I would say my style of play is kind of like thoughtful. Always think what do you want to do? Do you want to go offensive or defensive? So it's a very good thing to have that versatility.
Suppe just flying high on those wings, rezzing people left and right.
I started playing flex support. It was on the release of Ana. I got really into it. Then I transferred it to the other heroes, but Ana is what got me to flex supporting in the first place.
Arian the supports. Will he be able to carry them back throughout this series? The Florida Mayhem, one of our favorite teams to watch.
My best friend was on the team, or is Logix right now. I'm really good friends with the others in my team as well, but they are Swedish, so, you know, there's that.
Suppe with the big plays.
Suppe, well played.
Gaming used to be just a hobby for me, but then I kind of got like really good at it. Then I got offered to go play to America, like with 1 week notice. Well, I just took it, and here we are now.
One of my favorite stories actually coming out of European Overwatch. A scene I grew up with, these guys in, early Overwatch, and first time I saw Zuppe was when he, was on the all-finished team. We saw ninjas in pajamas, as they were known at the time. And he's right, he actually is very thoughtful, very considerate, very quiet guy. He definitely prefers to play that Ana over the Zenyatta, for example. He's the kind of guy that doesn't always like to, be in the mix of things all the time. Maybe not like a Jonak or something like that. But when you get him on that Ana, when he gets to keep the enemy at arm's length, you can see the cogs ticking over, and the decision making is excellent.
And you see from the Mayhem, they played the Dallas field extremely close in our first map, I believe. In just terms of eliminations, just looking at it, it's actually just one elim between the two teams that's different. It's going to be AKM that comes in for Rascal here for Nepal. So I know potentially going away from more of like a Genji composition where you could see a lot of Soldier, maybe some Pharah here as well from AKM.
How do you feel that worked out? Seeing the Genji on that map in general. We saw the Rascal on defense wasn't always able to find the best. He kept getting Helix rocketed by
they played around it pretty good though, I thought, on the defensive end. I mean, he got a lot of good blades in Rascal. I thought, Taimu and him worked well together, in terms of coordinating those dives.
Well, it was Rascal who really opened up the game to finish the map with that 76 pick, I guess, once he just switched over. But good that they have that Genji player there. That was kind of always the thing about the Dallas field. It's like, Taimu said when when AKM and Rascal came on board, he said, now we can play everything. Now we have, and now Taimu's playing Winston, so that's another story.
Yeah. Well, you can play everything, right? It's just when do you want to play certain things? And I think that's what the field need to figure out.
It's about time and place, isn't it?
Yes, it's about when to use that Genji, when to, because if you're not used to playing around that stuff, you kind of have other comps that work that for different situations, right? But now you kind of want to try out how playing around a Genji works and whatnot. It's going to take time here for the fuel.
We're going to be jumping here into the map of Nepal now. And we're going to be on Sanctum first. So the images you right now you're seeing are a village, which we can only hope we see later on in the series if it does go that far, just because the Pharah play will be a lot of fun to see. AKM does. We might even see him on this map, to be fair, despite the fact that Sanctum kind of has a roof, and some Pharah players don't like to be constrained in that way or have their wings clipped, so to speak. You can still do a lot with Pharah, and she also has a lot of features, Matt, high up that she can sort of hide behind. A lot of like a jutting out sort of masonry.
Yeah, there's a lot of cover like in the sky. So
that's a much better way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a much better way. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that the Pharah can kind of hide behind and whatnot. They'll actually run. I know Pharah Mercy here, effect on 76, and then they're going to have Mickey play Orisa. So this is something we saw them do a little bit earlier. I remember during the preseason they bust out Mickey on Orisa, whatnot, but this is a good map to have that Orisa Hog.
Vastly different composition shown by the Mayhem, however. In the Chinese scene, this is called the long short gun composition, the Soldier 76 and the Tracer.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point. Basically, it's pretty safe, stock standard. I don't know how much Logic can do, though, when there's going to be that Orisa barrier there. It might be a little bit frustrating.
I always find it interesting from the Florida Mayhem perspective, as you see the Dallas Fuel picking up some kills here, is that Tavik usually plays the 76. And sometimes now you see Logix play 76 and Tavik play Tracer. They just seem to kind of trade these roles back and forth.
In all fairness, Logix was a big 70. He actually played 76/Tracer back on his original team before he even sort of came on into the Mayhem. That was a while back, actually. Even on Movie Star Riders, he played a little bit 76. More so before that.
It'll be the Mayhem who don't get to the point first. It'll be the Fuel in control of it now. So you see some changes come in for Florida. Vic immediately goes over to Genji, Logix, Tracer. So it doesn't seem like they're really going to try and worry about AKM ever in the sky. Try and take everybody out first. Swoosh tries to dive in, lands right on top of a hook.
It doesn't feel great to go down like that, but in the meantime, Vic and Logix have been making good inroads for the Florida Mayhem in terms of this fight. Chips is being brought back to life. You can see Logix is actually waiting sort of off screen. You can see him in the wireframe. Taimu can take a breather here. He's also being healed up, and that's AKM. Gets rid of Manton there. Looks like the defense matrix either wasn't there or wasn't enough. Zuppe is desperately trying to avoid being knocked outside and off the edge, and Taimu finds him there. Whole hog gets the job done. The Dallas Fuel retain control of the points.
Yeah, and the Mayhem end up using their Transcendence there, thinking they can probably keep this one alive, as it'll be Swoosh and Zebasai still left on the point. Mickey's laying down some shots.
I saw his face there. He was like, I need healing. I could almost see a mouth and he was 42 HP, but Harry was busy elsewhere.
Like, Effect is so focused and Mickey's just looking around, just laughing, having a ball out there.
It's just, I don't know, man. You just like, people like him don't come around very often, you know. It's a special
It's
person.
impossible not to be happy.
Nice that Thailand is actually the land of smiles as well. Like people there are incredibly, you know, smiley and stuff like that. But I mean, this guy just takes it to another level.
I would assume that people from the land of smiles are
Well, that's
smiling.
right. No, but it's just something they're known for,
yeah.
right? Like we're known for being rude and using rude gestures. Australians, so like everyone has that thing. Let's jump back in though. 90% give the Dallas Fuel. AKM getting taken down by Logic. Vic considers the blade, but now with the Transcendence, he's definitely not going to go for it. Going to sit tight and hope he's sort of not spotted here until that expires. Going to be a Valkyrie for Harry Hook though. Going to have a bit of a res if he can. It's going to be a little bit hard to stick this one. Oh, okay. Vic with a little bit of a wall climb just to close the gap on AKM. It's the little things, Matt, that make the big difference.
And they're able to flip the point. It's 99% though to the Dallas Fuel. As Logic's going to use that recall, get out of Taimu's effective range potentially with that hook. They did end up using, you know, their sound barrier during that fight, so not going to have it. They will have Transcendence here. So the Dallas Fuel ended up using both support ults, but they have to be careful around this tac visor for effect. Not let him get set up on the bridge. Do easy work with it. Now it's going to be an attack visor that comes out, but he's already lost a few members of the team. It's a late Transcendence, so that comes in from Zupe. It's not really going to keep much of, but just him and Zebosai up.
Yeah, it protects him from the tactical visor, I guess. Then AKM just follows up with extra rockets. You can see the focus there from Madison on getting rid of that supercharger. A tactical visor plus supercharger could have been devastating, but the Fuel hold the point now. It only took the one fight to get back in. Vic hooked in immediately to his demise. Madison in over the top and Swoosh will join him. Logics to bring up the rear as 3 players for the Mayhem on the point right now, and Zebo scrabbling to get there himself. Takes a big rocket hit. One more and he's down, and AKM delivers that just like clockwork. And there it is, Taimu with 2 on the D-suit, the kill on Logics, and that should be the round. Not much more to be said for the Florida Mayhem here. Dallas continue to build off that momentum. Florida aren't the only team looking for a big win here, and you can see that Dallas wants it.
You know, that round, Logics played quite well for the Mayhem. 33% of overall team damage, you know, 9 of them 6 final blows.
That's a huge proportion.
Yeah, the guy just needs some help right now.
Ordinarily, you see most of, you know, like a Tracer might have like 22% is what we as people that sort of check these stats fairly often, is what you sort of expect to see. Now on the other side of things, Effect has about 31% himself, but they were running a Mercy for much of that round. So again, like the percentage.
And he's playing a lot of 76 at range as well.
So the percentage of your DPSs will increase if there's a Mercy, obviously, because you're not supposed to use your blasters. So, well, unless you're Neptuno, in all fairness, or Big Goose. Okay, point is, you don't get as much damage as if you were a Zen or Lucio.
It'll be 76 on both sides. Same with Lucio, just trying to get up towards the high ground here a little bit earlier. So this is the one stage you generally could have. Oh, Taimu gets blown up rather quickly there.
Defense matrix wasn't there. Mickey had already used it. Taimu was maybe just half a step ahead of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's been an issue with the Dallas people throughout, like, right? Like, I feel like, you know, Mickey has been put in a tough spot where, you know, you want to protect AKM, you know, and some of the players in the back line, but then also you have half the team that wants to go in and be aggressive around that Winston.
Difficult for Taimu. Obviously frustrating to hit the ground. As a Winston, you've got to rely on your team to stay alive. There's not much that you can do about it yourself except just dive in and sort of hope and connect. Mickey's a little bit isolated on the point right now. He probably will be chucked down. Zebo and Harry are there, in effect, actually finding Zebo, so I might relieve the pressure. Mickey still gets de-suited by Madison, and Taimu's the next target. Point blank, Helix Rocket Effect, never had a second to respond.
The AKM who picks up yet another kill. There's still members of the Fuel here, Mitch. There's 3 members. It's going to be Harry, Chips, and AKM. And now it's going to be an attack visor here from Logic.
Oh, double tack.
AKM is going to use his as well.
Why?
So AKM ends up using his tack visor. It's only him and Chips there at the time.
Very ballsy. Especially because Logic's had already used his.
Well, I mean, Taimu's coming through the initial choke and Effect's coming up from the high ground. So maybe they thought that they were going to be able to get back in before he fell, but... Or maybe they thought that Chips would be able to get the... I don't know. It's kind of hard to make sense.
No, it's fine. I mean, like, it could just be a mistake, or there could be something else that we don't necessarily see there. It's worthwhile.
Well, Chips was kind of getting close to a Transcendence, so maybe he thought he would get the Transcendence and AKM would be able to stay alive long enough. Then you have the 2 other players coming off, respawn back, but still very up.
All right, Vic waiting for his chance to get onto the point. The Transcendence is going to give him confidence. He can sort of know that he can come forward and sort of stand there. The only thing he has to worry about was that, actually. In fact, with a pulse bomb, he found Zebasai, and then after the Trans was gone, it was Vic that was his next target. Effect taken over, AKM with his own Helix Rocket this time. And Dallas, back in the hot seat.
Yeah, and we just saw AKM use his tack visor, same with Logic's. Look at the difference. 87% for AKM, 35% for Logic's. That is that they basically used it at the same exact time in that fight. You just see how much damage AKM just put down in that previous one.
So frightening. Again, most of 76's ult charge is tied to the damage done. A little bit to healing, but very, very minimally. So, Manton, the low ground, grabs that Mega, so he's going to stall things out a little bit longer, but we'll have to see if that actually helps the Florida Mayhem at all. Logix is down already. AKM's definitely winning out, Matt, in that 76 battle, and the rest of the Fuel can just converge on the point. An easy clean for them.
I mean, the Mayhem weren't even able to get close to the point there, as now the Fuel's starting to build up some percentage. The Mayhem do have some ultimates they can combo here, you know, potentially just go in with that sound barrier, force the action on the point. Swoosh could use the Primal Rage up top. So it will be the Fuel, though. They're going to have their sound barrier as well, as that Factor could...
Oh, very clever.
Nice play there by Manitin.
Turns around, about face, and gets himself the defense matrix at just the right time. Now the rule fight begins. Florida realize that Effect might have been out of position after that one, so it's time to strike while the Anvil's hot. AKM being buffed around. That sound barrier being given out to the Dallas Fuel, helping it a lot with that. Taimu and AKM are able to sort of survive through much of that damage. Taimu does fall down to Manitin there. And AKM just keeping an eye on Tvik, daring him to come forward, daring his old teammate to try and challenge him face to face. Oh, yes! Yes, AKM! Connects there.
As Johnny mentioned, you know, a rivalry between these two players, right?
It's not,
and Tvik.
He's right, though. It's not the most polite rivalry. They had very different ideas about how things should be done when they were on Rogue together.
Well, I mean, right now, AKM getting the better. I mean, you know, double the amount of eliminations, you know, more than double, no, more than triple the amount of final blows.
Zeverside out of the picture already. And Florida Mayhem are losing players early in the fight. And yes, it's mostly off the back of people like AKM and Effect that are creating these opportunities. Mid to late fight though, the Florida Mayhem come back, but Swoosh was so low after that pulse bomb. There was no way he would have survived that Helix rocket from AKM. Trying, I guess, Manitin trying to get back onto the point. Defense Matrix actually managed to take the point in the last few seconds. And they'll maintain it as well.
Yeah, they do flip it because Mickey is so weak and there's no support there that he has to back out. He can't just stand there and fight. So the Mayhem do show signs of life here. They did end up using all of their ultimates, so they have nothing. The Dallas Fuel getting a of their own as Tvik trying to hide in the corner, waiting for that health pack. Didn't come back fast enough, he drops.
See, Effect though had to respect Swoosh a little bit there and back away. He was about 50 HP. Swoosh changes targets and finds AKM, but is traded out. There was never going to be any follow-up there, especially with how split up the Mayhem are right now. Zupair and Logix are on that high ground. Tvik is going to tickle the point over here. All he can do is try and stand on it. Effect comes up a little bit short there. Oh no! Tvik couldn't get to the point. He had to recall early. And Logix was too late to get there, and there it is. AKM feeling it. Very good round from him, very good map in general.
I mean, 27 elims, 14 final blows for AKM. The beast there on the 76. You see why everyone was so hype about him coming into the Overwatch League, what he can do on that hero. It's nasty.
Yeah, it's a 70. It's Soldier 76 isn't always known as like a highlight creating hero, but AKM gets it done without things like tactical biases and the like. Very skilled individual, definitely hungering for that win under the Dallas Fuel roster now that he's joined in, and may well have it. There's one more map to decide if Dallas are going to make it or not. All they need is one. We'll see if that's going to be the case after the halftime break. See you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
The Fuel look to be getting back on track today, led by Harry Hook and his sleep darts. The Dallas Fuel currently up 2-0 in the half.
Rip Harambe.
Welcome back, everyone. Golden Boy alongside with reinforcing crumbs. I don't know if that's too soon or not. Okay.
That's like 2 years ago.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, I mean, Dallas Fuel getting that extra pep in their step here as they're up 2-0 over the Mayhem.
Yeah, it was a weird game, wasn't it? Because we looked at the stats, we compared the others. Someone is happy. Yeah, justice for Reinhardt, I guess. That's a new thing.
That's squash back there.
Yo, let Reinhardt use a jetpack, okay?
Let Reinhardt use a jetpack.
I'd be the happiest man alive. No, but we looked at the stats throughout the game, right? And it wasn't much separating the teams, and so we're like, oh, it's just the smaller details, a few dives going your way, you get the right fight, the right ultimate advantage. Overall, I think these teams were pretty even, but nothing really stood out to us too much.
Something stood out to me, and I think we can use this to dissect what's going on with the Florida Mayhem, and it's not pretty. Because here's what I'm getting this feeling that they keep trying to make these team play execution, these dives happen. They're not pulling it off very well. And so what ends up happening is that they're resorting to individual players trying to play make and make hero plays 24/7. You've got people trying to 1v1 people that are enemies with ultimate. You've got supports trying to use their ultimates in clutch situations, trying to save people at the very last moment, as opposed to holding these abilities, using them in coordination for fights that you need to win. So because they keep going for these hero plays, then when it comes to trying to win these major team fights, they find themselves at a deficit in their ultimate economy. It makes no sense. They have nothing that coordinates very well. And once again, it's all a matter of individual performance for this team. There's not a whole lot of coordination happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of questionable moments in the game thus far. I mean, we saw some questionable nano-boost coming out of Zebosai on the Ana, of course. Here we just see Swoosh on the previous replay. He just walked up to the point, took poke damage, didn't even leap towards the backline, So there's a lot of questionable moments going on here for Florida Mayhem, and it just adds up to the point where they can't really get there to even get a win in the first place.
Yeah, and then I know that you guys also wanted to highlight Effect in particular, though. What has he been doing?
I mean, he pretty much won the first map by his own, I like to say, because we've seen Dallas Fuel struggle so much getting to this point B on Hanamura, but Effect just takes it into his own hands, gets both support of Florida Mayhem by himself, finishes off Manetan on the point, and of course secures the game for the Dallas Fuel. So we've seen Dallas Fuel have so much troubles on Hanamura in the past. I mean, they ran into a wall twice before, not even being able to put the AKM into a position where he can utilize the high ground for the soldier, of course. But this time, Effect comes in clutch and just wins the map for them.
Yeah, Effect, a fantastic tracer, and I mean, when you see him starting to go out there, when you see him start to heat up and get moving, man, there are a few that can keep up with him. He's really talented player. I don't want to throw him up there as like one of the best. I just want to say that when he's moving and shaking, I mean, he's on the dance floor.
He's an emotional player, right? Yeah. Like when he is on, that's what happens with these emotional players. When they are on, they have highs higher than anybody else. But when they're not, then it doesn't look quite that good. It just happens that now he's having a great game.
Yeah, fair point, fair point. Moving on to Nepal, though, as once again, we were hoping to see the Florida Mayhem try and bounce back on this, but it will be the Dallas Fuel yet again.
And once again, it started off. We saw Tvik on the Genji, of course, starting out with things. But again, the dives just aren't working out. We saw Swoosh just jump into Taimu's hook repeatedly, and they just can't even reach the backline in the first place. So a lot of the times, the execution of the dives are not really working out. And so when you consider Tvik a really good Genji, they can't even set him up in the first place.
I mean, not only do you have to execute dive, which they are clearly struggling with, but in Sanctum, you have to dive against Roadhog and Orisa, which is the hardest. They are shotguns into the faces of monkeys. It doesn't look pretty.
Not pretty at all.
Yeah.
And the Dallas Fuel were able to come out on top, secure themselves a 2-0 victory over the Florida Mayhem on Nepal. But, you guys keep talking about a dive and whatnot, and I think this is a great segue. I don't like the way you looked at me on that one. A great segue into this, because we actually have... It's Awesome Sign Saturday here at the Overwatch League in the Blizzard Arena. And we actually have this guy here. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what that sign says?
I don't understand dive comp, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
Yeah, so basically, I'm going to explain that dive comp is when you're running a Winston, a Genji, and a Tracer, and you want to reach the back line of the enemy team, of course. So you want to leap over the enemy main tanks, of course, to gain an advantage. You get to take out the Zenyatta, you take out the Ana, you take out the Lucio, and I mean, you're pretty much good to go because you have a huge man advantage, and you can build off that to just gain an ultimate advantage and just get a lot of fights going. So
yeah, dive seems to be the order for stage 2.
It's been the meta for a very long
really
time.
The meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
do you like dive comp?
I do. I do. You know, honestly, I thought we were gonna go swimming.
Yeah. Whoa, what?
Yeah, we did say
no,
dive.
it's Genji's.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is awkward. Okay. Well, who wants to go to the pool? Anyone? There you go. It's a little late here. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out the segment like this because I actually cannot see. I have lost all vision. And this is crazy. This is the pinnacle of my career, folks. All right, well, the good news is we have plenty more Overwatch coming up next. It's going to be Kings Row. Can the Mayhem bounce back, or will the Dallas Fuel be able to close it out? And will anyone take me seriously? Who knows? We'll see you in a few.
Yikes.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Blizzard Arena. It's our last game of the week, and it's Florida Mayhem looking a little bit behind the 8-ball here as the Dallas Fuel bringing the fire.
Yeah, and coming into this next map, we'll have a substitution for the Dallas Fuel as well. I know Effect will come out, which is something we rarely ever say. Rascal will come in for Kings Row. So I know Rascal, being so versatile, now he can play with AKM. Primarily plays like either 76 McCree, Pharah. He can play a little bit of Widow as well. We'll see what Rascal brings to the table.
Yeah, obviously, definitely embodies his name as well. Looks like a A cheeky little lad. Okay, so because our next map, as we'll get to showing you in just a moment, is King's Row, it's very likely that, you know, we're actually going to see a composition we've already seen today, actually on this particular map, from the Dallas Fuel. The only reason that you'd really imagine that teams would want to remove effect is because they don't need that tracer. So it's very likely it's going to be some sort of mix of like a Pharah and a Junkrat. I think that's going to be the way to go. It actually worked very, very well earlier on. If you did see that, I think it was in the first series actually.
And I think on the defensive end, if you're for the Florida Mayhem and you're game planning against Dallas Fuel and you know that Taimu's going to play, you know there's probably only going to be like 2 real options in terms of composition. I mean, maybe we see him play Reinhardt. We saw him play a little bit of it against the Shanghai Dragons, but
and he said he enjoyed that. But
yeah, he also enjoyed it. But yeah,
it wasn't a tough. I don't think he was pressured very hard.
Right. So does he play Winston, or do they have Mickey play Orisa and Taimu play Hawk? Those are like the 2 kind of different looks I think they could give you here.
Sure. I definitely think, yeah, you know, with Taimu, we saw him play that Roadhog on Volskaya Industries in their previous map this week, and they realized halfway through, like, we cannot get away with not having a Winston. So Taimu obviously switching over to the Winston, they did vastly better. So we'll see how it pans out. That Pharah Junkrat composition from the Dallas Fuel, we won't see yet. I'm going to start on that defensive side, but Rascal here sets up on the Trash Mouse himself.
This is, so Mickey comes out as something.
Yeah, he's committed to this.
No, he runs.
Oh, he's running back now.
Mickey is the ultimate troll, so he threw his translocator back by his spawn.
No, he was actually being taxied back by the
Lucio.
Lucio.
Taxied all the way back. Okay, so Harry.
What am I?
No, these guys are just switching so much. Okay, so now Taimu is on Orisa. Now Harry is on Mercy here. So, okay, now we have something that looks a little bit more normal.
Excuse our confusion. Normally players don't defend on defense, don't walk out to the point with their pick and they get shuttled back.
Mickey ran his Sombra all the way to the Mega Health Pack by the bus, which was extremely far. Usually you see him turn around by then. Okay, so we can talk about the Mayhem. Looks like Swoosh will be playing Ryan here, as you see Ryan get a lot of play on this map. Now, let's see if they decided to change some other things up. Right now, Logic's on Diva. Logic's go to Tracer. Now Manitin goes over to Diva, and Swoosh will actually go to Winston. So a lot of changes come out from Florida. A lot of switches at the beginning of this in general.
What do we see from the Mayhem on you know, theoretically their worst map type? That's the question. Tvik dashing through the Alderworth Hotel. Now just poking. I mean, we see this a lot from Genji's early to mid-round. We're going to see that stay at long range, try and poke and get some alpha percentage. Does he expect to run into this? Oh, it doesn't matter. He sends Rascal's Concussive Mine back at him, and AKM had already fallen to Logics. This is a nightmare start for the Fuel.
Yeah, with all the pressure coming around that backside from Swoosh, Zebo side, Tvik, and Manitin, Logix is able to sneak up behind AKM and take him out. It's unfortunate. Before the Fuel, they didn't realize that Logix and Zupe were split off by the statue. They could have opted to leave those players behind, jump those 2, and then work their way back to the point. But the Mayhem, with a good first push, it's a lot like Hanamura, right? They were able to take point A rather quickly. This time they take point A very fast. Force some changes out from the Fuel already. It'll be AKM playing Pharah.
That's a great start. We're actually seeing a lot more players, whether it's on a Hanzo or a Genji pick, flank around like Tvik did to the window, but on the other side to try and get the better defensive teams. We saw Carpe do it on Hanzo yesterday, just hit a massive scatter arrow, immediately destroying the enemy Widowmaker. That seems to be the play now. There's little things with the flankers trying to come up this wall we're looking at right now. So the Fuel want to play up close. Again, they want to get as much value as they can out of this Pharah Junkrat composition. Obviously, AKM's just switched over to it now.
It's interesting that you have Zebosai on Mercy, the guy who loves to play Lucio. So happy you play Lucio here in stage 2. Opts to play Mercy here. Rascal takes out Swoosh before he can get the benefits of that Transcendence. So kind of wasted that Transcendence there. For the Mayhem, it'll be Rascal using his Riptire, takes out Tvik. I know his face says it all. The fight is the loss.
Less than impressed from young Kevin. And you can see now, you know, teams like a lot of European teams did this sort of back in the quad tank days, or you know, when May was very heavily employed. Try to play up, with close quarters, get the most you can out of AoE damage here. You can see that Dallas Fuel really don't want to give an inch. The fact was that Florida Mayhem actually burned through a Transcendence to get little to no value from it. That means that Dallas Fuel could just set up here. Harry Hook's very lucky to be alive. He's being chased out. Tvik found him. The Discord Orb was very good. I believe it was chip damage from Zupe.
Oh, and he gets Harry Hook as soon as he pops his Valkyrie as well. And Chips uses Transcendence, so the last fight went kind of horribly for the Mayhem, where they ended up using their own Transcendence, didn't get anything out of it. They turn the tides in this one, though. It's a big fight win there for Florida.
Again, Harry Hook, he may have popped his Valkyrie just to give him the extra mobility to avoid a Genji dive or a Winston jumping on top of him. You can just fly up into the skybox and get that regeneration, because obviously Mercy receives her out of combat regeneration immediately and at all times during Valkyrie. But he was very late on just starting to do that. And I think with Zupe already had him down to about 2 HP.
You have some players just hiding here for the Mayhem. So you see where Tvik is. He's got his blade, obviously. Tvik just trying to poke. It's going to be Tvik just trying to poke in the Genji. It's Logic's now putting some shots in AKM in the sky. But Tvik falls at the hands of Rascal. He can definitely use some healing. And he's going to back out the Zupe. They're going to be able to get a res here, both teams. AKM is going to use his barrage, and he doesn't get anybody. He actually gets taken out by Manitin.
Yeah, Manitin shut that down entirely. Charged straight on in there, blocked it, then got the extra damage across. Dragon Blade now in over the points of Transcendence, being used by Zupe. Mickey going for a self-destruct here. It can only really be to get a remake, but he's trying to get back in the suit. He barely does. You can see that he was being chunked down. Everyone was trying to have a crack at him. Trying to back away as quickly as he possibly can. Buying time for the Dallas Fuel to get here. AKM found Zupe, but now it's Tvik who wants to go forward and find some more. Rascal's being pressured down heavily. He couldn't get himself out of that one. Concussive Mire wouldn't have saved him. Points still being contested though by the Fuel. That's Mickey.
Yeah, this will be it though. Mickey gets steam backed. It'll be the Mayhem who take point B. They've looked very good here on King's Row as we get towards the end of the map. It'll be AKM who switches off of go over to Widowmaker, so gonna play all the way in the back at the benefits of the damage boost from Harry Hook as Dallas Fuel has both support ults, and it'll be Rascal going over to Genji. So they have to really be kind of careful. AKM doesn't get dived and just get chunked down rather quickly.
Oh, I think that's a good eviction notice. Give it to AKM, and he thought he'd be able to get away by going to the other higher ground, but good news for you, bro. In terms of white coordinates, it's about the same height off the ground. He gets taken down. Brought back by Harry Hook into the fight, and now hoping to set up as Manitin making mincemeat here of his front line, or at least attempting to do so. Timing being removed. AKM getting some shots in. Newly resurrected, of course. Manitin goes up there just to peel a little bit there for Tvik.
They did a nice job of having Taimu just come to them. They were able to win that fight rather quickly. It's AKM though landing a big headshot on a Tvik. Tvik was getting closer towards that Dragon Blade. If he would have gotten that there, potentially could have popped it. A lot of players start to stack up in the street here as AKM's just changed his line of sight.
A bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and he's so far back here, right? Where even if he had Swoosh just jump on top to his first platform, he could easily just back out and get basically to his spawn.
Back out, then rappel straight back onto the same platform if he needs to. The guy's swinging around here. He does see Tvik off in the corner, but he might be more concerned about the main tanks right now. Manitin's up there. Swoosh just jumped on AKM, and now it's going to be Mickey with a self-destruct, and Tvik's going to be more than happy just to step around the corner. He actually picks off Timing with the last couple of shurikens. He has a Dragon Blade as well. You'd like Harry Hook to be done with Valkyrie to make him an easier target, so may save it till later in the fight here, but so far the Florida Mayhem are making very good progress. It's just Rascal actually keeping the payload stalled out right now.
Yeah, the Zebosai is inside of Zupe's Transcendence, and Mickey's self-destruct goes off, and he just like walks around the corner and walks right into it. So very odd play there. It'll be Zebo who resurrects Logic, so you still have Florida at full strength. It'll be a self-destruct used by Manitin, probably just to create some space. He just tosses at the corner. They're just trying to get Tvik in a good position to use his blade, to get a bunch of players grouped up as Taimu's Primal Rage just ends out.
Now, ballsy play from Taimu. We didn't get much value out of knocking people off the edge, but Tvik tries to go for AKM and is shot down before he makes it. There was just a body shot. He was already low on HP. Still important for AKM to remove his assailant.
Yeah, he's getting pocketed by Zebosai using the Valkyrie when he gets taken out there. So they invested 2 ultimates to try and make that Dragon Blade work, and it's just one shot from the Widowmaker that finishes it all.
The Florida Mayhem are gutted after that play. That was their main draw card in this fight, to try and get AKM out of position. In fact, this might even require a hero switch. It's unclear whether Tvik is going to be able to be enough on his own to remove AKM, and Swoosh has been getting snarled up on the first platform. He hasn't even been able to get to where AKM's standing.
That's why they're running the Mercy, so they can actually keep Swoosh healed up from that lower ground all the way up towards the high. See, he dives in, but he's so weak at that moment there, where they're not able to get any pressure really on AKM in the back.
It's like the Dallas Fuel have 2 staggered lines of defense. AKM sitting in the back line, and then, players like Mickey and Taimu sort of receiving the dive tanks of Florida and chunking them down before they can get to the squishies like AKM.
It's like, I feel this is the Florida Mayhem. Like, this is how they play all the time, right? They roll through the first 2 phases, they look amazing, and then they just can't close these teams out. And, a lot of their games, obviously, you look at their record, not good, but a lot of their games have been so close. Be it Rascal, Dragon Blade, he's getting pocketed. Logic, so yeah, getting that pocket as well. Harry Hook does have Valkyrie if he wants to use it here. They're looking to see if he can get in and get a res off.
Yeah, might be a little bit risky here. Valkyrie's popped by Harry Hook. Chips needs to be careful. He has to go for the Transcendence. Now he's going to run quickly forward to his team and actually give them a bit of this healing. He does manage to reach them, actually. They all stay alive, and AKM has shifted even further back, and now it's open season. Logic's down. AKM in a position to pick Zupe off. He realizes he's under scrutiny. Zupe steps towards the side. Tvik finds Mickey, and now AKM drops down just to add some semi-automatic fire to the mix. Easy chip damage on Manaton's mech to knock him out of it. Resurrect there. Mickey going to be back in his own mech now. Huge advantage for the Dallas Fuel in this fight. Zephyr low. One shot was all it would have taken for AKM, and he'll gladly take it.
AKM, man, on the Widowmaker has just been able to stand up here, just pop off. Oh, wow. Florida not able to get up to really contest him. I think the tanks on Dallas Fuel did a nice job of, when AKM would go from that, first closer platform to the second one, what would happen is the tanks for the Fuel would jump right up on top of that first platform, get swoosh damaged up, Manaton as well, and they're not able to get to that second platform, right? And then Tvik and Logic's not able to get enough healing, because all the healing's going to the tanks right above, to get all the way deep on AKM.
I feel like this is almost like the optimal way to peel, in a way. It's not as if players like Mickey are turning around and, putting a defense matrix over AKM, but they're interposing himself in between AKM and the rest of the Mayhem. So they also have the option to go aggressive on the backline of the Florida Mayhem if they're unprotected themselves.
It's almost like basketball as a kid. They teach you ball you man and how to kind of position yourself, right? It's like just to have the offense yourself and then AKM in the back, right? And just being in the middle constantly, that just kind of barrier is always going to be great.
It seems like a really straightforward concept, right? Stand behind your tanks, but when they're arrayed like they were up on those high ground platforms, you can actually really see just how impossible it was to get to grips with AKM. And again, Widowmaker's like a great interior designer, Matt. Give her a lot of space to work with and produce a masterpiece.
See if this is what the Florida Mayhem go with on defense. It looks like it is. Looks like they've moved pretty far out of their base. No tricks like the Dallas Fuel tried to play on us, as Swish will be playing Orisa. You'll probably have him move up, put a shield down, and then Logix will get behind it on Widowmaker, start popping off some shots, and then they can have Tvik just try and use Junkrat to just spam, get a little bit of area denial inside the hotel to the right here. So
Dallas Fuel now. Final deliberations on hero selections. It's unlikely that AKM really goes for the Bastion here. Or maybe they... Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to see it.
Why not?
I can't say this is what I expect to see at all. Perhaps could you see something with a May wall or something like that?
A May wall boost for the Bastion as you kind of get the Bastion. Yeah, so we've seen this very sparingly. If some of you guys are playing quick play at home, this is probably something. I imagine this is what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, just gets domed there.
I don't want to be that guy. And this is a lot of fun. AKM's done well to get himself into a position, or his team has helped him get into this position, but now the Dallas Fuel are getting picked off, and they're going to be very separated. It's going to be quite tricky for someone like Rascal and Mickey to properly join up with the rest of the team. Respect the Bastion, Tvik, what are you doing? What are you doing? AKM just picks him up in recon mode, and that shield's not going to last long. 1-for-1 trade. The Junkrat is missing though, and AKM barrels forward. Sets up now. Swoosh's shield's not going to be around for long this fight, but the anti-Orisa strat. Holt does pull AKM off the high ground, but he doesn't really seem to be too bothered right now. Micro rockets come in from above. That's Manaton trying to keep AKM honest, but he's not stopping for anybody. Pocketed all the way.
Yeah, and I mean, Chips does have Valkyrie here, so you'll be able to use that Mercy Shield. It'll be a self-destruct. Straight up in the sky. Takes out Time and AKM. Why not? Let's res the Bastion. Get him back in play.
Are you not entertained? This is Overwatch. So AKM is brought back, and naturally he's going to be defeated pretty quickly. Now, I would be surprised, personally, if he stays on this one and doesn't switch off. I know he's close to tank mode.
You have tank mode. You obviously...
No. You know,
if you got into the Chris Puckett School of Overwatch, you obviously have to use...
Sounds like you
have to use tank mode.
Sounds like you spent a little bit too much time there, Matt, from that. Well, we got a dive comp now for Dallas Fuel. I haven't seen AKM play Tracer since APAC in 2016. It's been that long.
You're going to see it now. As they do have a Rascal Dragonblade to use. You probably know that Zupe has that Transcendence. That Taimu falls early. Don't know if you'll invest the Oh, okay, so you're going to invest the Dragonblade into this. He's got that Transcendence set up. keeping everybody healed up all the way.
Yeah, one tick or almost one tick here for the Dallas Fuel on point A. Rascal doesn't get anything, but he does force the Transcendence, and for most Genji players, that's a worthwhile trade. He'll be happy with it. But Logix is off in the background. He knows that no one's really looking at Logix right now. He's sitting up on the high ground. He's now committed himself to the point. Now Rascal's discovered him. That's a cheeky res there for Sai. You better think twice about going for that one. Rascal, 2 HP, trying to get out, but does get chased by Logix. And the Mayhem hold. What an insane couple of minutes of Overwatch this has been. But as it stands, the Dallas Fuel don't even have a tick, despite all the shenanigans.
And they don't have any ults either. You know, they will have a pulse bomb here, but the Mayhem, they're going to have that infra site. They're going to be able to know exactly where the Dallas Fuel's at. Tvik does have a Riptire to use. Is Taimu just moving out there in the open?
Okay.
Logic starting to hit some shots.
Logic's being pursued there by Rascal, and Swoosh, of course. Really gives new meaning to the monkey on your back, and then Harry Hook. Straight down to Logix. Yeah, he knows we're watching. All right, big fella.
He's got a 51% scoped accuracy, 21% crit accuracy. Just filthy stuff there, hitting that final shot. Lose Harry get back towards the spawn, but I know Zebasite will have a Valkyrie here. They did hold on to Tvik's Riptire in that previous fight, so you have that great Junkrat ult to use.
Swoosh lands on chips despite Harry's best efforts to boop him away. And this is an easy clean here for the Florida Mayhem. Tvik catches Rascal in that trap. Well, Rascal's had a tough round again. His Genji's not been able to break through in the same way that it did previously. And there's a Riptire, like you said, this could be it. Last push.
You're going to have Transcendence here, and you're going to have Dragon Blade for the Dallas Fuel. They switch off of Tracer. They're going to have AKM play Pharah. And Harry Hook, he was nowhere close to his sound barrier, so you're going to have him play Mercy here. Get that res.
It's already over, Matt!
Oh, and he had Transcendence too.
Oh, he's res back up. I spoke too soon. Fair enough. AKM picks off Tvik's Riptire there. Surprised that Rao actually get a resurrect, considering the Widowmaker was looking. Good positioning there from Harry Hook to get him back in play. There's a Transcendence there for Chips. He needs to use it. Mickey, he's sitting on Manitin now. Logix needs to get some damage done from this high ground position. The Transcendence has been committed to the point. Timing finds Manitin here. The Mayhem are still dropping like flies. They don't have the numbers advantage on the point. It's actually just Swoosh right now. Tvik's just being juggled by Taimu.
They do get a res on a Manitin, and Swoosh is going to pop Primal Rage. He's getting chunked down so fast, though. Manitin now will get back to the point. He does have a self-destruct to use. He's going to pop it on the point. He's going to force some of the... Oh, the Fuel get off of the point there.
What?
As, the self-destruct... The self-destruct went down in the corner, and they didn't have a bubble. Swoosh jumped in, pushed some people back by the statue. The other half went under the underpass, and they leave the point. That'll be a Florida Mayhem win. Your face is just like, what?
Okay, the map score 2-1 in favor of the Dallas Fuel right now, and again, none of us are ready for that. My poor guys out the back trying to catch the action weren't either. Shunted away. The numbers for the Mayhem were coming back though in that fight. There was a resurrect there as well. Okay, 2-1. A chance here for a map 5 if Florida can keep it up. Map 4, just around the corner. What the heck was that?
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Zoe, and I'm now joined by player number 7. Yes, the Florida Mayhem did finally pick up yet another player, and it's no other than Zapis, a well-known face in the European Overwatch scene and way beyond that. He arrived yesterday, and now he's here right with me, watching his team play. And let's take a look at what your team has been doing so far in stage 2. What do you think they need to fix?
Well, there's a lot of things we can fix around with our team comps and how we play together, and there's a lot of work to do, but we're getting there.
All right, well, that's a promise. Now, other than a glorious beard and a questionable trench coat, what are you bringing to the table for this team?
Well, obviously my experience, I played Overwatch since the closed beta, and I can bring in a lot of different heroes as well to the team, and be the all-rounder and a 7th player, so we'll get there.
All right, all-rounder player number 7. We hope to see you on this stage very soon. Thank you so much for joining me, Zapis. We're now heading back to Mitch and Matt, my absolute favorite M&Ms in this arena. Let's go.
Yeah, we're pretty nutty as well. We're the good kind. You know, I gotta respect Zapis' ability, just like mine, to say a lot of words and not actually say anything.
Yeah, I love that.
At all.
It's like Mitchell be explaining something in the back for it feels like 30 minutes, and then I'm just like, oh, so you mean this? And then he's like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, actually, if you listen, it's already happened once or so today. So yeah, convolution is my game.
I think Zapis can bring a ton to this team, right? I mean, he can play so many different roles. He can play a flex tank. He can play a flex support. We've seen him play Widowmaker in the past. So a lot of different heroes he can throw into his pool. There'll be no subs for either team, so no effect. Still not in here, but Gibraltar is a pretty good Genji map, pretty good Widowmaker map, 76 as well. It's probably what you see come out here. And I loved, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure everybody saw it at home, but I loved just the mayhem behind in that interview. They were doing the wave. They all stood up and just started waving their hands in the sky.
It's like, it's not that they don't understand the gravitas of the situation, perhaps. It's just not that, it's not important to them to look all serious all the time.
Oh, look, they put in the work. They play as hard as they can. They win, they win. They lose, they lose. I mean, they got the guys that it's really, you really start kind of seeing deteriorated results when you really start getting down on yourself, and sometimes it hurts to play too much, right? You just keep kind of practicing bad habits over and over and over again. It's like, oh, well, we lose, we need to practice. It's like, well, you just need to practice the right way. You don't need to sit there and play for 10 hours. You need to just put in 3 good hours.
And obviously there are expectations on Florida from their fans and from themselves, to be victorious. But, I've been thinking about this recently, and perhaps maybe they're just, embracing the chance to return to why they played in the first place. Embrace the fun part of Overwatch and, get out on the field and give their very best, but also remember why they started in the first place, man.
I mean, you end up playing, it's just it just fundamentally happens. When you are having fun, you will play better.
Yes.
It's just a way of life. I mean, you see the Dallas Fuel now on defense. Taimu will be playing Roadhog. Mickey, very sneaky Roadhog as he's around a little bit of play here. Mickey will be playing Diva, the AKM on Sombra here on defense. So,
okay.
It's interesting. Remember when Dallas Fuel was NV, they would play these awesome solo heal comps with Chips, and he would play Ana, and then they would have a Sombra, and then Harry would play 76.
Yeah, Taimu would play the Sombra. It was like a Numbani special for them. I liked it. Let's see what this AKM... cheeky. Logic's rudely interrupted on his trip up to the higher platform, and Tmek gets a face full of shot. Timing with a scrap gun, almost daring Manatee to try and charge into him. Of course, he's not alone. Mickey is there with him. A lot of damage there, a lot of tank shredding potential. I haven't seen this far forward aggressive play on this map since before the Overwatch League.
Yeah, and they have that Mega Health back in there close, so they're able to farm that for an EMP. It's going to be AKM using that EMP right at the beginning. Rascal cuts down through 2.
Mayhem just getting spawn camped here.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is, Matt, right now. I mean, they're sitting on the Mega, so it makes it very hard for Florida to sort of deal with a lot of that poke damage coming in, because they only have one health pack, which is on the other side, which is a mini health pack behind. It's where Tvik is right now. And they can also run back into spawn for help. That's kind of it. So controlling that Mega is huge. It also means it's very hard for Logix to get set up in those juicy Widowmaker positions.
And with him not being able to set up, they don't really have a ton of damage to burn through Taimu, right? I mean, he can take a breather, give himself a ton of health. It'll be a nano boost used here by Harry Hook. He throws it onto Chips on the high ground. So I actually think that nano boost may have been used because it looked like Tvik and Manitin and Swoosh were in. On the supports, maybe just give it to Chips so he can stay alive.
He's actually spawn camping them!
They're going to use an EMP in front of their spawn, just delete Zube.
I mean, look, the bravado of this player side, it's actually very astute. It's very clever. Now, you notice that Florida have decided they need to, give themselves a little bit of defensive capability, so now we're off the Widow.
Even if the Fuel were to just get, like, team killed here or just wiped, the payload's in such a position that they would have another fight. They would have because if you're Florida, you're kind of getting to a point where you're like, okay, we need to make some progress. You need to start investing some ultimates here, right? So if you invest some ultimates, and if Dallas doesn't decide to use any, you come back with a huge advantage in that next fight, then maybe, look, we're already down under 2 minutes.
To put them back to square one, right?
To reset them all the way.
Oh, he's stuck, but he took a breather just beforehand. So Taimu can stay alive. He is being healed currently by Harry Hook from afar, and also Chips. So the Bionade, very important. You can see Taimu's taking a lot of damage constantly below full HP. They've had to give some ground now, so the Fuel now need to concede a little bit, but AKM, that's another EMP ready to rumble here. He wants to jump in. See the Florida Mayhem aren't all that grouped up here, and AKM, I don't want to go for it. He doesn't use the EMP. Swoosh being down to the self-destruct may just be enough. Logix picks him off though, it's a 5v5.
Yeah, it looked like Mickey put his self-destruct on the ledge and then nudged it off the side, and
he did that,
ended up taking Swoosh out. Probably didn't expect that self-destruct to kind of fall down to the low ground, as you do have some ultimates here. For the Dallas Fuel, you could potentially see like a nano blade come out yet again. It'll be Taimu using a whole hog.
Oh, nice shutdown.
Players out.
Super deals with Taimu there. Rascal now as well, just trying to get some of the IKM. EMP comes out, but follow-up may not be there. Rascal trying to get something done, but there was still a Transcendence used despite that EMP actually being put into the fight, so must not have connected, Matt.
Yeah, they ended up using their nano boost there as well. The Fuel still trying to hold on. They have Mickey here. Taimu's going to switch to Winston off of respawn.
That's a big res.
Yeah, it's a big res on a Swoosh. I mean, he's just got a ton of HP, right? As Winston just having that big body there on the point may swing things in Florida's favor.
All right, well, there it is. First checkpoint coming up for the Florida Mayhem. Weird approach for Dallas Fuel, but it works out, and it kind of doesn't give the Mayhem a heck of a lot of time for this stage. What does AKM do? He's actually not in any position to switch. He might even get picked off here, no, he doesn't. So the Mega, he can go back and hack that one up. Harry Hook, avoiding the pulse bomb.
You probably should be able to get that kill, though, on Harry Asana, just kind of sitting there in the corner. Should have been able to finish that off, but Tvik get back to the payload as will be contested here as Mickey just goes around the corner, just stops it for a second. The Logix with this Deadeye, I wonder where he sets up. Let's see, he's up on the high ground, but he's not going to have a lot of visibility around the corner.
Swoosh got put to sleep there, I think, into his primal rage, and Chips is down. Once he woke up, he was back with a vengeance, clearly.
And that was a nano boost used again from the Dallas Fuel. I believe that time it was on a Rascal because he's so close to that Dragon Blade. He's able to get it, but not able to use it. Both support ults online here for the Mayhem. Probably don't need it here. As you see, it's going to be Transcendence used by the Fuel to get back onto the car.
AKM hasn't had an EMP for the shuttle phase so far, but he may have one in just a second. Chips is down. As soon as the Transcendence finishes, he's removed from the field, and now it's going to be a Florida Mayhem Trans. They've combined it with the Valkyrie. There's way more healing than they probably even need here. It won't stop protected from a self-destruct, but they're not worried about it. They break line of sight. They're not affected by it at all. And the Florida Mayhem will take this point after Dallas threw quite a lot of ultimates at it.
And do you switch off of this Sombra, or do you hold on to it and get that EMP off? AKM jumps off the side because they get that close spawn. Doesn't want to get staggered all the way out yet again.
Play Widow here, 76.
Yeah, he could play Widow, 76. That's probably what he would go to. Well, when he jumped off the side there, not to get staggered out of the spawn, at that point I kind of assumed he wasn't going to switch because
otherwise he would have just. Well, he doesn't give ult percentage if he drops off the edge, I suppose. But
well,
he would have switched hero in the room
instantly once he jumped off. So the Rascal getting one with his blade taken out there by Logic. Says AKM still with the EMP. It's going to be Swoosh
picking up 2.
Taimu's 1v3. Yeah, he's 1vx at the moment against most of the Mayhem. The Dallas Fuel got quite split in that last passage of play. You saw that, AKM and Al had already backed away while Taimu was deeply committed.
Yeah, and if you don't have everybody up, it's going to be very difficult to get a ton of value out of that EMP. And even now, you can have players on Florida be so spread out. When do you use EMP? Now it's going to come down and connects with 2. It connects with Manitin and Swoosh. It'll be the Deadeye that comes out from Logix. Doesn't see nothing.
Who's got the hot hand? Not Logix, not this time anyway. The entirety of the Dallas Fuel backed away to stay safe. Of course, they knew it would be to their detriment to show until that Deadeye was finished. So Florida will slow up a little bit here. Swoosh is about to rejoin the rest of their team, and one could expect that that's when the aggression is going to start. You see Twig immediately starts moving forward. AKM still on the Sombra here. That's a sound barrier for the Dallas Fuel, so a good opportunity for him to get that ultimate percentage. He just went from about 20% to 56% in this fight. AKM with 2 kills. He got both supports down.
Yeah, the Mayhem leave Zupe all the way in the back alone. AKM that's probably one of the easier kills he's got tonight. Goes completely invis as Sombra goes right up to him, one clips him, and then Zebo goes in close for the res, and then he just gets taken out as well. So that Rascal sitting here at the corner has the pulse bomb. Thought about maybe just darting in and using it. AKM now has another EMP to use. Try and connect with a lot of players. Here it comes.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. He's trying to bait something out. Oh, Zulbeck catches him as the EMP. Who's there to follow up? No one. Zulbeck's going to survive that EMP, and there was no Rascal in there to follow up on the damage. In fact, it's even got bad for the Dallas Fuel. They've lost both the Sombra and the Tracer early into the fight, and Mickey now needs to try and backtrack, but he's caught up there by Swoosh. Going to be desuited. That could have been the throwaway there for Dallas. They were looking in a decent position, but they fed themselves to the Florida Mayhem.
Yeah, now they're just desperately trying to get out of the spawn here. Taimu will get to the payload. It'll be Transcendence used from both teams. Logic's now on the Widowmaker, just locking down these spawn doors. Lots of big primal rage from Swoosh. He's going to be able to stand in front of the doorway, just knock these players back.
Nice by Mickey. A quick drive-by to knock Logix off the high ground. Logix does have the grappling hook, but it might be too risky for him to use it at this stage. Headshot immediately to Taimu in the primal rage to punish. Logix thought he'd get away from that one, but Zebasai's keeping him healed up in the periphery. Logix uses grappling hook to get forward and away from Taimu, who just has to circle back and help the rest of the Dallas Fuel stall now.
Kills.
That's rough.
Still
That's a big pulse bomb.
Yeah, it's the kill still going in favor of the Mayhem. Just going
there
to
it is.
Skull alive, and that'll be it. They did have an opportunity to finish that a little bit sooner. I thought Swoosh was doing an excellent job. I can see it on the minimap. He was keeping Rascal, Chips, and Harry locked in that spawn, and Mickey had used his self-destruct. If they would have killed Mickey before he got back in the mech, nobody else would have been able to come back and get back onto that payload. They would have had at least a few seconds left.
So later in the series recently, or more so on these escort maps, we're actually seeing the role switch between Logix and Tvik. Logix going for the Widowmaker, Tvik going for that Tracer on occasion. This time that pulse bomb from Tvik was the difference maker. He was primarily the Tracer player on the Swedish World Cup team, and obviously for quite some time on Misfits.
Logix has himself a half. 18 limbs, 12 final blows, 0 deaths on the Widowmaker. That's pretty impressive considering how bad they got spawn killed at the beginning of the game. But after, if the Fuel didn't play that strategy so far up close and play a very good defense for that point A, that would have been a very fast map for the Mayhem.
I feel like one of the riskiest parts of this map is trying to get that first checkpoint. We've seen a lot of teams sort of get locked out there, and that makes for a very short map. However, I find that if attacking teams make it as far as the shuttle phase, they usually clear it without too much event.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that it's, set up topographically, I guess, in terms of attacking teams that are have some difficulty getting into good positions that are hard to be dug out of, and the timing also doesn't suit them. If you get split spawned and you end up, spawning, as defender in the middle of that shuttle phase, you're going to get jumped on by a Winston immediately, and then it's very easy with a Winston and D.Va to keep the defenders out. That back entrance, it's super tricky to get in. There's only 3 entrances to get into that shuttle phase for defenders.
Yeah, and I think once you unlock, the route to go from point B to point C, if you get it around that first corner, you're pretty good. Because then you just throw a Widow up on that back high ground, and it's very difficult for the defense to get all the way back out there. But the Dallas Fuel on offense, so run AKM on Widow, Rascal on Genji here. So Logix be going up against AKM in that Widowmaker battle.
So look at Rascal goes in, but doesn't overcommit. Sort of does get the swift strike, forces the Florida Mayhem away. This is where also the Dallas Fuel are looking at compositions, because they won't know for another 10 seconds by using tab what the enemy team are playing. So AKM now knows he's going to be in a Widow mirror battle, and Logix has already done a heck of a lot of damage early in this round.
And how Logix played in that first half on Widow, AKM has to be careful, but you see he's getting that damage boost from Harry Hook, connects with one shot. Now he's kind of lost Logic, still trying to figure out where he's at. Now he barely sees him.
He knew just how long he had to wait for the second shot. He knew he could just bang it off pretty much straight away, and Logix would have no chance to respond. You know we've been starved for big Widow plays, Matt, today if we're going off for those ones. That's lovely. Going to be a resurrect here. Chips is going to be brought back into the fight. AKM's also found Swoosh and Zupe. Don't even think about pushing out, my friend.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. Zupe has to kind of, well, he wanted to go into the server room, but he can't even go in there, right?
Logix is missing these first shots. He's giving away his position, and he's allowing AKM to respond.
Now AKM with the infosight, he's going to know exactly where Logix is coming from. He's going to get that Widowmaker, or very risky to just kind of poke out there. Oh, Zebosai using Valkyrie. Gets taken out. It's going to be Swoosh getting right in front of AKM's face. Some nice healing, though, coming in from Harry Hook.
Swoosh can't kill AKM if he's being pocketed, if not in Primal Rage form. You see AKM's not really too bothered right now. Getting healed constantly. Quick grapple will be the goer, and he does. Gets up there, but no, Swoosh chases. Nicely done. However, the focus on AKM there really made it easy for the Dallas Fuel to push through with the rest of their team. They're doing really good on time right now, Matt.
Yeah, and Zupe gets that front spawn, so he will get taken out. Now the Mayhem will back out. They'll have to wait for everybody to get on the same page for this next fight. It's Rascal with this Dragon Blade. You have Dragon Blade plus Transcendence. No support ult on the other side for Florida. Maybe if you're the Mayhem, you use the Infrasight, you just have to kind of dive this aggressively, try and force some ultimates out, and then get another good fight before they take point B.
Rascal testing the metal of the Mayhem, daring them always to come forward, but instead he decides to do it himself. Logix gets up to the high ground, quick wall climb at the big sword, Rascal! A long range on that one. He just clips Logix with the edge of it. Removes him.
It's not the worst thing, because you did get them to use that Dragon Blade. Look where the payload is. It hasn't really moved that far. So the Mayhem, they had Tvik just stand on it and test it the entire time. The Mayhem are going to use their own Transcendence as soon as they get it. The Infrasight used by AKM, and it's going to be the self-destruct by Mickey to get back in his mech. Now it's going to be the Dallas Fuel using their own Transcendence, trying to push forward.
This is beautiful from AKM again. 2 shots was all he took. Tvik challenging. Oh my god, there's so much venom in that 1v1, Matt. We can't even begin to tell people. AKM opts out of it though. Sometimes the wise live to fight another day if they just back up. Didn't want to face the Tracer. And now he can control that upper access point, which is generally the most commonly used way of getting back in here. So AKM can do a lot of damage before the Florida Mayhem can even start fighting on this point if that D.Va doesn't shield it.
Remember when we talked about them wasting that Rascal Dragon Blade before? He's already got another one, and he's going to use it now. He's going to take out Swoosh. He's going to go looking for Zebosai in the sky. 2 swipes, and that'll be it.
Oh, it's just beautiful, Matt. He timed it so well. His movement is impeccable. And again, little wall climbs here and there just to make sure he gets the extra distance. Matton desuited down. Tvik going to push forward. Zupa's in the corner. He's finally been noticed, and Mickey now will hunt him. Micro Rockets will help him get the extra damage. There's just Swoosh left here on the point. A bit of a tentative leap up. He does have Primal Rage, so there will be a chance for other spawners to come back in. Logix is playing off towards the side. He gets his brains pasted over the wall. And now Swoosh is ever side down. He doesn't last long either. 4 minutes in the bank for Dallas Fuel. This is a very fortuitous turn of events for them, but for the Mayhem, who are trying to take this to a map 5, Matt, this is grim times indeed.
Yeah, not ideal. You see some members of the Mayhem just dying up in your top right. It's just going to jump off the sides. They can get that far back respawn, get all grouped up together, but the AKM with an Infrasight. Rascal, 80% to another blade. The guy just getting these blades so fast as AKM trying to track Tvik there, has the help of Mickey.
He wants it. He wants it so bad. He's not going to get it this time, though. Manhattan bringing the big guns in, literally and figuratively. Tvik returning to the scene of the crime to deal with Rascal. Now that the Transcendence is in play, he's feeling more confident. AKM is returning. Tvik knows that. He'll see the kill feed. He knows he needs to go and deal with this Widowmaker at some stage. Mickey will have to self-destruct to go and try and get his mech back. And AKM is just hoping Logix will peek. But he's playing these very passive angles right now. And AKM doesn't have Infrasight active.
And you have Tvik controlling basically this high ground area as Logix will be able to take out AKM. It'll be Valkyrie used here by Harry Hook, and chips does fall at the hands of Logix. So now Logix starting to heat up on that Widowmaker yet again. You know, it's very difficult now from AKM, right? Because Logix, is able to control the high ground, and then AKM has to come around that corner. He's playing on the low ground. He only really sees his head. Maybe a little bit of his body. You can see the angle that AKM's taking here. Not ideal for AKM. It doesn't matter though.
Never wants to rent this. AKM says no. Logix still comes back regardless.
Logic's not even on the high ground. He's actually just playing lower there.
He's playing just around the girder, I think. AKM gets jumped on here. Swoosh is looking for him, the Primal Rage. It's almost as if the Mayhem are trying to get in AKM's head, Matt. They're committing a lot of resources into trying to remove this Widow.
And I think they were trying to force out Transcendence there, but Chips holds onto it and just ends up dying instead. Now they have the Transcendence to go with that Dragon Blade, but it's going to be Vic who falls. Harry Hope drops as well, so you know the fuel have to back up. You're waiting for both supports here, so they'll lock in another battle. This has been fun. Just these two guys just exchanging Widowmaker shots back and forth.
Great time to talk about Manatee and Mickey, Matt, I feel. Yeah. These two divas are having a huge impact, respectively. Notice that AKM is being flattened by Manatee a lot. It's giving Logix the space to actually pick him off.
And I will say, I think Swoosh didn't have the best first two maps. He's really played good on this map and in the previous one on King's Row.
Swoosh is 26 eliminations, 9 final blows, and 9 deaths for a very respectable 20% of his overall team's damage. Here's the Dragon Blade for Rascal, but he takes a big hit early on, and now with the Transcendence, there's no chance of him getting any more. Couple headshots in. Remember, Widowmaker can still kill some targets through Transcendence. So you definitely want to go for those shots.
Yeah, I mean, Rascal going all the way into the back did open up some space for AKM to get on the high ground there for a second, but not able to do much of anything. As you see the angles he has to take to shoot at Logix, like how difficult those angles are. As Rascal will switch off of Genji, go to Tracer here.
I do love this showdown between the two Widowmaker players. It's very enjoyable.
Well, he can't really go to the top right because you see where Tavik is playing here, so you jump up.
Guess what?
Goodbye.
Happy birthday, AKM! Tavik blows him up there. Mickey with the 3, though! What is going on? In the backline, it seems both supports and Logix have been taken down, so Dallas Fuel definitely come out with a net positive after that exchange. Manatee cleverly is dying on the payload right now, buying about a good 4 or 5 seconds for the rest of the Florida Mayhem. That is the exact right response for him, to try and make sure that Florida can get back in time, but it might still be too hard. It's going to be Swoosh out first, probably followed by Zebasai there. You can see him come in now, pop the Valkyrie, just to give him that extra mobility. The extra healing is going to be very important right now. Rascal's Pulse Bomb doesn't amount to too much ultimately, and AKM's off in the distance with the Widowmaker here. Looking to land these shots. Manatee D-Suit, self-destruct to follow. Rascal hoping to get in between Zebasai and Manatee to find the Mercy.
That's a big kill though. Taimu falls, trying to jump out with that Primal Rage. It'll be Chips using his Transcendence. He'll get a res up onto Taimu as Manatee just trying to stay alive on the payload. He falls. Zebosai coming out of the spawn now. He should be cut down rather quickly as looks like the Dallas Fuel should be able to push the payload the distance. Tavik still on it though. It'll be a self-destruct from Mickey. As Tavik still alive here, Mitch.
Harry trying to stay alive. Tavik chasing. Harry's done well this so far, but now the rest of the Florida Mayhem are coming in. They might be able to turn this around. Unbelievable! Mickey's looking low. Tavik's going to go up. He gets taken down by AKM in the distance. They've got to get rid of Mickey. Damage must be done, but it was 2 supports and a diva there. Not really what you're hoping for. AKM in the distance, striving to get the damage down, and he's found a couple of targets. But who's on the payload for the Dallas Fuel? It's Chips, but he wasn't there. It's a map 5.
How did Tavik stay alive for so
Map 5, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we wanted. It's what we were hoping for, and it's what we're going to get. The Dallas Fuel were in overtime. That was so close. But the numbers advantage, again, there is a distinct spawn advantage that favors defenders on that point. Usually we don't see comebacks like that, but the Florida Mayhem staggered themselves so well, Matt.
That was absolutely insane there. Tavik just dancing around on the payload, keeping the Florida Mayhem in this series. So we go to a map number 5.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Well, the series, ladies and gentlemen, seems to be the gift that just keeps on giving. Map 5 here between the Dallas Fuel and the Florida Mayhem. Again, the Dallas Fuel, the former, you know, we talked about their identity. They're looking for one. Even the XQC said that this is a team that needs to sort of coalesce and find what their style is going to be, their color, as Korean players would refer to it. And then, of course, we've got the Florida Mayhem, who are soon to receive new players. Have struggled at times with this roster, but now looking like they're on the verge of taking potentially a victory here.
We got Effect in for AKM here for this final map for the Dallas Fuel. So, man, this would be an up and down week for the Mayhem, right? You know, yesterday they go up 2-0 against Houston, and then they end up getting reverse swept. They come into today, they don't look good for the first 2 maps. They win the next 2 to force a game 5. You know, Florida's got to stop doing this. Their fans, man, like they take them like all the way to the distance. They play teams close, and like, it just never works out in the end. This would imagine if Florida would have won yesterday, right? And then end up winning this match. Like that would have been such a big week for the Mayhem, right? A 2-win week.
Well, that would have been, you know, twice the amount of wins they've had all season, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So it's a big difference. That'll be a huge resurgence for them. But there is a chance here. There is a chance. Again, you know. The start of the series wasn't great for Florida. Nepal, they didn't look stunning.
And what's interesting about this sub out from AKM, well, that means Rascal will play Pharah, most likely. Okay. He'll probably play a little bit more Genji. And then who plays the Widowmaker if we go to Ruins? Will it be Effect?
We've seen him play Widow before.
We have, yeah, but then you lose like his great Tracer on the point. So maybe Rascal plays Widow? Maybe they opt to play no Widow?
Rascal also played Tracer briefly on the previous map. So I mean, Rascal for me is
Rascal can play a bit of everything.
Yeah, I think he styled himself a little bit after Birdring when he was playing actually on that Spitfire roster.
It's a good person to style yourself
absolutely,
after.
But also not a good person if you're not quite as good as him, or you aren't quite, you know, putting up the same performances. Then you just look like a not as good version of Birdring, perhaps.
Yeah, the thing with Birdring is that you kind of name like, okay, let's throw a DPS hero out there. Oh, Tracer. It's like, oh, Birdring's definitely like in your top 4, top 5. It's like, oh, what about a Genji? It's like, well, Birdring's up there as well. Widowmaker, he's there as well. It's like, it's just so good on multiple different heroes.
Mickey,
this will be it.
Oh, come on, Mickey.
It'll be Tavik playing Pharah. They will not play a Mercy. Chips will play a Mercy to aid Rascal in the sky.
All right, the Pharah v Pharah battle is going to be a lot of fun early on. You know, I mean, Pharah is a hero that we haven't seen speak on before in certain metas, in certain times in Overwatch history. Let's see how he fares up here against this superstar in Rascal. Big first hit on him, and Rascal's found Zebasai. You see Wild Fix busy trying to deal with Rascal. Both of his supports have been shot down.
Yeah, he's able to get the kill on Rascal, but doesn't mean much. Everybody else on his team is dead.
Well, all it means is a bit of offset. Yeah. That's literally all that means. So it's all well and good, of course, but Harry Hook there comes up towards the end, finishes off Swoosh, gets himself a quick double. I mean, we talk about this all the time. As a Pharah player, it's like, do I shoot the ground? Do I shoot the other Pharah? How do you know what the right choice is?
It's hard, especially when, I believe it was Effect who picks up an early kill on the Zupe, so you lose your Xander early. Pretty much you need to just protect your Lucio at all costs in that moment in time. And you're so focused on getting Rascal out of the sky, like you don't really even think about the damage on the ground. And look at how aggressive the Fuel are playing, and they lose Taimu and Effect there. Now you think that the Mayhem can capitalize on this.
Yeah, Mayhem supports with a score to settle Zebasai. Gets the DC on Mickey as well as the first kill in the fight. So that's a good turnaround. That, again, for Tavik now, it doesn't really matter who he shoots. He can shoot whoever the heck he wants. Mind you, he's not playing with a Mercy here, whereas Rascal is.
Yeah, he's just relying on Zupe to just keep that Harmony Orb on him and keep him topped up. Something also to note, usually Well is a point that you can hold for a very long time. The Mayhem actually flipped that quite fast. It's only 34% that goes over to the Fuel.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of stall, I guess, for the Fuel. Perhaps they backed away of their own volition. Effect steps onto the point here. Detours for a health pack, but Zupe knows where he is for the next couple of seconds because of that Discord Orb, so he has an idea. Again, Effect's always being shot off from the side. I think he's just being pressured down a little bit here by Logix.
Yeah, they're just trying to put a lot of shots into Taimu as a nice shot there from Tavik. A lot of ults here used from both teams. Both support ults on both sides of the coin. Taimu does use that Primal Rage. The first kill will be Zupe who takes out Harry Hook. It'll be Swoosh using that Primal Rage as well, but it'll be 2 more kills that come in for the Fuel.
All right, Zebasai again gets a decent on Mickey now. It's time for the barrage to come in. Mickey, though, was able to deal with Tavik with just the Bunny Blaster. Of course, the enemy Pharah suspended in midair. Not the hardest target to hit. Zebasai, he's having a round. He's loving being on this Lucio mat.
He just looks like a different player, right? I mean, he talked about in every interview I think we've done, like he wants to play Lucio again, wants to play Lucio. You see why. Putting up a good performance thus far as
The Mayhem still control the point, 70% in their favor. No ultimates though on the side of the Mayhem. You have this rocket barrage that Rascal could potentially use. It's just, is it worth, you know, if he dies here, holding on to this barrage? You know, maybe you just switch off of the far at that point.
Logic's. Oh, what? Oh! He didn't even know he was there!
And he throws that at a perfect time where Mickey has his defense matrix down. That's pretty sick.
Perfect little right shift. We actually saw it earlier on today already. Lovely stuff. Rascal's trying to erase that though by dealing with both Everside. Logic's at close range with the barrage, but again, it's an easy target for Tavik to pick up. 97% here for the Florida Mayhem. It's only Mickey, Chips, Harry Hook, and Taimu close to the point.
You have both tanks alive though here for the Dallas Fuel. Chips is gonna get his ultimate by healing up Mickey inside. So Mickey will get demeched. Gonna go onto the point here as now the Fuel starting to feel the pain. It's gonna be a Transcendence that comes in for the Mayhem. They chase Harry Hook out. Tavik starting to heat up.
You couldn't ask for a better Transcendence timing there from Zope. Everyone, especially Logic's, really needed that healing on the point, and he got it. Mickey now trying to back away, but there's a barrage here, and Tavik knows it's open season as soon as that demon is removed. A big salute. Rascal takes down Tavik from extremely long range, but it won't be enough. We're on the cusp here. The Florida Mayhem taking their second win of the Overwatch League, not just the stage, the season.
And you know, Tavik has maybe the MVP there on Gibraltar, right? Able to stay alive for so long. But the biggest difference in the second half of the series for me has been Swoosh's play. Swoosh has just been able to stay alive long on the Winston. And we've seen in the past, this is right, a guy who formerly played DPS switching over, a lot like Taimu, you know, switching over that main tank role now. Swoosh was formerly a Genji player. Very good Genji player in that, but switching over to the main tank, obviously, you know, still kind of, I know, at the Overwatch League level, learning some different things with the position. He's been playing quite well the last few maps. So it'll be Logix who plays the Widowmaker yet again for the Mayhem. He played it very good on Gibraltar. It'll be Rascal who plays it here for the Fuel.
All right, Rascal, time to step up. Let's see what you got.
He gets almost killed in the first few seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that was very impressive and very smooth from Logix. He'd hardly zoomed in fully by the time he actually fired that shot off on Rascal. Well, there you go. Trying to get in his head early, a little bit of respect. Maybe needs to be offered. Logix finds Chips. That's really got to hurt. The fun and games might well be over here for the Dallas Fuel, as they're going to fall behind and probably lose this first fight, Matt.
Yeah, they get Taimu extremely weak as well. He should fall. He does at the hands of Logix. So it'll just be Mickey and Harry Hook on the point. So both players will fall. The point will go control. The Florida Mayhem here first. Logix will have that infrasight, which will make it very difficult to push off of, right? Because you're... Whoa! They both hit each other.
Yeah, it's wild flick from Logix, though.
He has been lights out on the Widowmaker, though, today.
Been a really impressive performance, considering that we kind of questioned the switch between him and Vic on the Tracer and Widow roles after yesterday's game. Right now, it seems to be paying off. Vic, flanking, seen Rascal. Spotted by Taimu. Actually, he may have been able to finish Taimu off there, but he fancied trying to pressure Chips further. Still, that's keeping the enemy's heads turned towards him and not the rest of the Mayhem. But again, affected Rascal able to spring forward now. Logix wasn't able to keep Rascal under the thumb enough, and he's now been able to get himself 2 kills. Logix being the latter.
And it's all opened up by Effect's Pulse Bomb. He takes out Zebosai, and then they get another kill there on a Swoosh. They do get 41% the Mayhem, but now the Fuel in control. Let's see just how aggressive they play. You see where Taimu and Effect are set up. Looks like as soon as they come through the choke, they're going to dive him, try and give Rascal a lot of space. Fight Logix.
I love that as an idea. It's really good. Effect there sees Logix, so one more and it'll be done. The chase down is real. Vic also is going to struggle to get out alive. He is on that Tracer, but it was being pressured very hard.
And you just love that prediction there from Effect. Like, he gets him weak, right? And where does he blink to? He blinks to the Mega Health Pack. He gets it because he knows that's potentially where Logix would be heading. It's going to be some kills, though, that are picked up here for the Mayhem as they start to push out onto the point. They may be able to flip this back.
Yeah, Mickey now just going to get burst down awfully fast. Logix finishes him after he gets out. He was going to go for the self-destruct to get back in, but that's not going to be an option. That's going to severely cut down the stall potential of the Dallas Fuel to not have the Diva there. In fact, it's going to remove it entirely.
Yeah, and they end up using their Transcendence here towards the end to do the Dallas Fuel. It's a sound barrier invested from the Mayhem, though, so you did get one support ult out on the other side, but you'll have a Transcendence here. For the Florida Mayhem, you'll have a sound barrier here for the Fuel, which will probably be used as just kind of want to engage with it, but now with the infrasight, it's going to be very difficult to try and get anybody to the point with ease.
Logic's going to be left upon by Taimu, who was already rather low in HP before he got there, so does have to use the Primal Rage. Nervously, you can see Logic's looking behind him, making sure he can try and get away from the monkey, but it's going to be tough. Grappling hook to higher ground, looking for the mega health pack. And he does get it, but still being pressured. Taimu just won't leave him alone. He finds Logix eventually, but Dallas had already taken the point.
Yeah, the Mayhem let them flip the point. It's extremely odd as Taimu goes all the way in the back to try and take out Logix. Doesn't even happen, but it looks like everybody from Florida just backed out and they let the Fuel take the point right back. So the Fuel take the lead here as they'll take up above 68%. So it'll be Manhattan with a self-destruct. That'll be the only ultimate for both teams pretty much on the point now.
Look at the minimap here. You can see it's not overly aggressive positioning from the Dallas Fuel, not nearly as aggressive as earlier on in the round. They're respecting the potential of overextension and trying to avoid it.
It's Logix gets another early kill though. He takes out Chip, so you lose the support right at the beginning and trade it out. It's going to be Mickey taking out Zupe.
1-for-1 thus far. Sends are missing. Rascal finds Zebasai though. There needs to be a recovery here from the Florida Mayhem in this round to try and regain control of the point. And we're going to a third stage. Tavik finds the fake, slaps him in the back of the head, brings him back to reality. And that is a Florida Mayhem are back in control of the point. That was a vertical shot from Rascal, a tough angle to hit. Tavik is down, but he's the kind of player that can return to the point very quickly on that Tracer.
Yeah, Tavik may have thought that the Infosight had run out at that moment in time and thought he could actually surprise Rascal, but the Infosight's still up. The Dallas Fuel jump onto the point. Swoosh will have Primal Rage here to extend his life a little bit longer, as this may be the fight that decides it, Mitch. 90% for the Mayhem, 97% for the Fuel. It'll be Logix taking out Taimu early. You don't have your main tank in the fight.
Mickey needs to be able to remake here. He needs to be able to get back in alive, and it looks like he's going to be okay for now. The Florida Mayhem are slowly encircling their point. They're not committing fully to it. Mickey's there, though. His self-destruct didn't get any kills. Trumps in for Zupe over the point. Now it's going to be Taimu throwing himself in with the Primal Rage. Try and keep this one going, but it's just him. It's just Taimu against the entirety of the Florida Mayhem. 99-97 and overtime is done. It's dusted. It's going to be a desperate attempt for the Tracer of Effect to jump onto the point. He recalls out, goes again, but he's low. Surely that's it. Surely it's over. Tavik is stalling in the back line, and they've done it. The Florida Mayhem, it's their second win of the season. They now go to 2-14 for the Dallas Fuel. What a marathon match. So many changes up in composition and in roster. But the Mayhem survived it, and they've doubled their winning total now for the season.
And you just see Swoosh just jump up, so happy here as the Mayhem, after that tough loss yesterday against the Outlaws, they battle back here today. You know, a lot of teams would have folded after being down 0-2. They complete a reverse sweep of their own here, taking out the Dallas Fuel.
Day in, day out, the Mayhem obviously trying to improve through what has been an incredibly difficult gauntlet of teams in the Overwatch League. And it's tough. A lot of expectations from the fans. I brought it up earlier. If you do watch Ascend, their mini-series, you'll see the struggles these guys go through day by day. But that was true grit and hard work paying off there. We're seeing some new things from the Florida Mayhem. We're only going to see more going forward as well. New players on the way. New coach now in the hot seat. Zappos already being here. The future is bright for the Florida Mayhem, and this is where it begins.
Yeah, Tavik gets it big just last game there on Gibraltar. Logix as well with a big game.
And now it's time to hear from some of the Mayhem themselves. We've got Zoe down on the floor.
We do indeed. Thank you so much, guys. I now have Tavik joining me from the Florida Mayhem. You guys just did it. A reverse sweep against the Fuel. Now, what kind of discussions did you guys have during halftime in your dugout?
Well, we felt like Hanamura went pretty well for us. And just like overall, we didn't really like just cut it out in the end. But especially Nepal, we felt like everything was just completely disconnected, and we just went through it a little bit, and then we just talked with each other. And just after that, you know, it just started connecting, and we just started playing like our game.
All right, now that game definitely worked for you guys. It came down to the wire. What gave you the edge in that very last map?
Oh, our skill is just too great.
The skill is just too great, you know. Got to deal with that. Now, Reinforce on the desk discussed the rivalry between you and AKM. Is this personal history between the two of you in the back of your mind when you're playing against him?
I mean, I wouldn't say like personal in a bad way, but you know, it's definitely like a personal, just rival, I guess you can say, in a way or another, since we've been teammates, and just mad respect for the guy.
Mad respect for AKM and mad respect for you and your team. Thank you so much for joining me down here on the floor. And now it's time to hand over to our guys on the desk to break down the action of that last game.
Thank you so much, Zoe, and congratulations to the Florida Mayhem. After a hard-fought battle, they pull off the reverse sweep one day after getting reverse swept themselves. And this is a big turnaround for this team because realistically, the Mayhem, they could have been 2-0 in the week, you know, given how things had went yesterday. I feel like we're starting to see this team get some confidence and motivation moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, after enough teasing us for 2 stages, we finally get to see this team give us a win with the skill that is too great, because indeed, when they actually do show up, they are just putting up a highlight reel. It just never actually got the win until now.
Yeah, and it's pretty ironic as well. We talked how they can't really deal with pressure. You know, when it really comes down to it, yesterday they couldn't really seal the deal versus Houston. And today they were down 2-0, and there's no pressure whatsoever on them. And they come back. Logic starts popping off on King's Row and Widowmaker. Tvik just pulls it out on Gibraltar, forcing a game 5. There's no pressure on these guys, and then they finally take Ilios to seal the deal. A huge turn of momentum.
They were getting spawn camped in the opening of Gibraltar. It was looking bad, but then they just pulled. You know, the duo of Logix and Tvik just really showed up. It was Logix in the offense from the Mayhem that looked
finally,
great.
right?
Right, finally, his DPS in the offense. But when it came down to the Florida defense, it was Tvik that just went off. And I mean, we'll show it to you later, but he had a god tier play.
Yeah, and when you saw that 3K come out from Mickey right
thought it
after
was
the
over.
end, you're like, oh dear, this is it. It is a wrap. We're done. Pack it up, boys.
I was hyping it up a bit because I saw that Swoosh was coming out with a Primal Rage. And I was like, oh, he can stall for a bit. But then the ship's high and he got the Transcendence. And you're like, oh, they bought so much time. It's pretty much over. They're just going to seal the deal. And Tvik just pulls it out, right? He stalls the payload. He gets a kill onto Harry Hook and Effect, I believe. And then just the rest gives enough time for the rest of Florida to come back and just force a game 5. So just huge clutch plays coming out on both of the DPS from Florida Mayhem. Yeah. And we waited so long for this.
Yeah,
we earned it.
Oh, yes, very
deserve it.
Yeah. No, they definitely deserved it, and they certainly earned it. Now, let's actually talk about this big play from Tvik here. This was insane. On Gibraltar, last second, you know, you need a guy to go clutch, and honestly, Tvik is that guy. Just the way he dances around the point.
He's by himself against Winston, D.Va, and finds a way to take out the Mercy, stalling out the payload for everybody else on literally the thinnest hair of overtime. It was just ridiculous that he was able to actually pull that off, because otherwise we go to an overtime of Gibraltar and then anyone's game.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened at that point. But I think it goes without saying that our player of the match, sponsored by Omen, by HP, is Tvik. He has earned it after his incredible play on the DPS. I mean, whether it was him on the Genji cutting through the members of Dallas Fuel. This was nasty.
Yeah, that was real nasty. And let's be honest here, like, we gave a player for each team because we didn't know who were going to win. And we sided with Logix because we thought that Logix, you know, he popped off on Widowmaker. He had a really solid Gibraltar performance. But Tvik forced the game 5, and then on Ilios as well, he performed so well. 6 Dragon Blades throughout, so Tvik in the end, he just earned the player of the match.
Exactly. Being clutch earns you the player of the match. When you can pull your best move when it really comes down to it. That's really what separates the good players from the great players, and that's what we saw today. It was a great game by him.
And you know, I don't want to feel as if we are hyping up Florida a little too much here. Obviously, they're still sitting, you know, pretty far below in the standings, which we'll get to in a second. But it is nice to see this team that, honestly, in my mind, and I know for you as well, we know that they have the talent.
I mean, they won Contenders season 1, right? And so did Dallas Fuel, to be fair.
Very true.
So, and both of them are pretty much in the back of the standings now, pretty far away. So it's pretty ironic in one way. But of course, I mean, this is a huge win, and that's why we're talking about it. Their second win of the season, only previously beating Shanghai Dragons. So a huge turn of momentum swing for them. But of course, we have to also give some credit, I feel, to Dallas Fuel. Because I think that Taimu, you know, he's not really accustomed to the main tank role. Today, he put in a solid performance. Rascal was in the starting, not in the, yeah, he was in the starting lineup as well.
Yes, he was.
And he played 3 maps today. Performed pretty well on the Genji, especially. He had some highlights. So overall, it was just a really close series, and Florida Mayhem just edged it out.
Yeah, it was a series that both teams needed to desperately win, but there can only be one victor, and that was the Florida Mayhem. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Stage 2 standings, because in its current state, the Gladiators are actually jumping up to 3rd place there. That's right, sitting at 4-2 over the London Spitfire. big match earlier on today. If you haven't seen it yet, do yourself a favor and check it out. LA Gladiators Spitfire was one for the ages. But then we also have NYXL sitting on top at 14-2, but the Gladiators starting to creep up there, sitting at that 8th place spot, excuse me. But they're trying to creep up, though, into the top 6. You have the Valiant sitting there as well. But here are the key matchups going into next week. It's going to be the NYXL versus the Seoul Dynasty. Whoa. That matchup's going to be hot fire. Then we're going to have the Houston Outlaws versus the Los Angeles Gladiators. That matchup will also be hot fire. And then to close it out, it'll be the Seoul Dynasty and the London Spitfire.
That's Diablo. Be hot fire.
You already got it, baby. You already got it. I love it. It's
Diablo,
so
Picante, all of it.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
You expanded his vocabulary from one
he just says Diablo, Picante, Goku. I don't know how that works, but that is the impact that I've had this week, and I'm more than happy with that. That's actually going to do it for me this week. The legendary Chris Puckett will come back to host the desk. You guys will see me probably a stage 3 unless they decide otherwise, because, you know, reasons. But thank you guys so much. I love you, Overwatch community. It's been a pleasure. Have fun, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.